All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the knee slapping K-pop podcast. Woo! All right, it is your girl Maria, and I'm here with the one, the only, Sammi.
Hello.
And it's just us two today.
It's just us.
Because I think Kayla's busy doing something.
Kayla's busy, and also I think that this continues to be your little, hey, let's teach the world about old K-pop.
Yes, older K-pop.
And old K-pop.
Mm-hmm.
So Kayla gets K-hip-hop. She gets to get taught for 4 hours about K-hip-hop. I get to have a discussion about something I know more about, which is old SM groups.
True. There was a few things Kayla was able to relate to in the hip-hop episode, though. A little bit.
I will have so much to relate to here.
You will.
Kayla likes hip-hop more than I do, and Kayla doesn't like hip-hop.
Which is, like, interesting. She likes light hip-hop. She likes hip-hop, pop-adjacent.
That's about as far as I'll go. I like in the realm of what Kayla likes, possibly a little bit less than she does.
Like, for you, if you were to listen to it, it would have to be pop adjacent, for sure.
Yes.
Anyways, so you're wondering, what is this episode today, Maria? Well, this is finally the second installment of what I started, I think, what was it, last year or in 2020, whenever I did the first mixtape episode. So this is our second mixtape episode, finally. Life kind of got in the way of the last one, and then I decided to be ambitious and also do a introduction to hip-hop episode, to Korean hip-hop.
And really I think it also just continue us promising things on this podcast and going, eventually putting them out there.
Takes us a little bit longer, though.
Takes us 2 years.
I was thinking about doing this one earlier this year, but then some things came up in personal life that kind of pushed this back. And then I kind of thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do both these groups in the same episode because they're both instrumental. Well, actually, I'll get to the point. Hey. So, we're going to talk about the one, the only, the first two successful idol groups in K-pop that both happen to come from the same company, now known as SM Entertainment, HOT and SES. HOT being the boy group that debuted first, and then SES following about a year afterwards. Yeah. They're not the only...
kind of being the first boy group.
Well, not exactly being necessarily the first boy group. There have been a couple of prototypes, but these are the first idol groups as we know it in the formula that we know.
I would call them the first idol boy group.
They are definitely probably...
I wouldn't call... Because, sure, you can talk about your SOJGs and all of your other, more... I wouldn't call them idols.
There are a couple, though, I will say, Sammi, there is, one other group that debuted in 2000. Actually, I would like to do an episode on those guys in the future, possibly with maybe with another group to talk about, but called NRG, came out the same year.
To NRG.
Yeah.
I think the thing with it is that I think idol is almost its own category of artist. That I do think that, can you be an idol group with no training? I don't know if that's... I think that we're at that point splitting hairs.
Yeah, but the Energy group was more so an idol group, but they have a kind of a more interesting and tragic story to them, but that's a whole other episode for a whole other day. Some point in the future.
Well, that's another fun thing about our podcast, depressing stories about failed boy groups.
Or people who've lost members due to
that just
tragic
came out
ways.
Last month.
Or that one had a member who had a very tragic death, actually. But he was actually friends with one of the members of HOT as well. So it's kind of like it's one of those, like a very unexpected death. So, but anyways, that's a whole other story for another day. We're talking about HOT and SES. I wanted to do this again to get the people to know kind of essentially the older Korean music, older K-pop specifically, but also kind of see, because a lot of people, I think, at most, if they're going to know about older K-pop, it's usually up to second gen. Maybe they know a smidge about first gen, but that's about it.
I think the oldest that a current K-pop fan will go might be to, I think I consider your first, second gen group, which is your TVXQ.
Yeah.
I think going back to first gen is extremely difficult because half the music videos kind of don't exist anymore. And also, it is just a different... We'll discuss a bunch of factors for it, but I think the oldest, and even now, I think a lot of people don't go back to early TVXQ. I'd be surprised if most people even know TVXQ used to be 5 people.
Honestly.
Like, that is, like, there are a lot of K-pop fans that probably don't know that. And that's why your idols get, and also that is why your idols get paid.
Yes. Because of
Period.
all that.
It's because of everything else.
But yeah,
most people don't go back this far.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's 1 or 2 songs because, like we're gonna get to when we actually talk about the mixtape you made, you will, even if you've never heard these groups, you've seen a cover of these songs. You've
especially
seen a cover of
for SES. I mean, there have been covers.
No,
and what do you mean by SES?
Candy?
I mean like single covers, like released digitally for streaming.
Oh, released digital singles.
There have been
yes,
HOT covers though as well. Their performances
has been covered by everyone and their mother.
Yes.
Everyone and their mother has covered Candy. You've seen at least, I would say, 5 or 6 idol. Like,
oh yeah,
you specifically, you listening, have seen at least like 4 idol groups cover Candy.
Oh yeah,
I guarantee it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but we will now get into it. First off, we're going to start with the boys because they debuted sooner. That's really why. It's nothing, no favoritism.
We're going chronologically.
We're going chronologically. They're not the first SM group, though. I will put that out there. That's, though, for another episode, for another time in the future. We will get to that. But they are the first group from SM.
K-pop is its own. K-pop has its own, like, everything is both the first. The early things of K-pop is all gray areas.
There's a lot of stuff happening.
Evolution, as opposed to this is when K-pop starts.
All right, so for the first group of this episode, we're talking about HOT, aka High Five of Teenagers.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I never knew that was an acronym. Also, that's not how acronyms work.
SM and also a lot of other K-pop groups back in the 90s. Acronyms, the house down.
This used to be, you know how now it is just assortment of random letters? And it
was an assortment of random letters in the past.
But no. I'm talking like your T1419.
Oh god,
like
yeah.
Just also random misspelling of words like your Lapalises and Mireille, like things like that. In second gen,
Mireille at least isn't that terrible.
No, but it is also not a real word.
True.
Like just things that aren't words.
Mm-hmm.
The HOT is a word. High Five of Teenagers is technically a phrase, but very much I feel like we've lost a lot of the acronyms. The acronyms was a very first gen, second gen thing to do. Everything was an acronym.
You could thank SM
Everything
Entertainment.
was an acronym. Even into third gen, because BAP was still an acronym, BTS was still an acronym. Going into third gen, we still had acronyms. I feel like that now in fourth gen, everything's like, it's no more acronyms, because I think everybody used to make fun of the acronyms. As we should have. These aren't how acronyms work.
They're kind of corny. It's more like you got the spirit, but
you got the spirit, you just don't have the specifics.
No. But yeah, that's HOT, High Five of Teenagers. I'll call them HOT, because High Five of Teenagers is a mouthful.
It's awful.
Yes, their fandom color is white. Their fandom name was White Angels, parallel. The members of the group, Moon Heejun, or I'm just gonna call him Heejun, Kanta, Tonian, John Wooyuk, and Lee Jae-won. And Lee Jae-won was the youngest. If you've
heard of anybody from this group, you've heard of Kanta.
Yes.
If you've heard of any, like, if you are not a old K-pop fan, also, Moon Heejun, you've also maybe heard of if you're,
we will get to their individual lives in this discussion.
I have so many. I have a lot of opinions.
We will
on
get
his
to the individual
life.
Activities
Considering
of them.
our also continual thing of creepy men on this podcast.
Oh boy,
exposing creepy men.
I do know that I think Heejun, Tonian, and Wooyuk I think are the same, or actually no. I think Heejun wait. I think Tonian, Wooyuk, and Heejun are the same age. I think Kanta's a year younger. I think he was 17 when they debuted. I think the other 3 were 18, and then Lee Jae-won was 16. So close in age, not too bad. couple minors, but like, yeah. So they kept them
Again,
young, but they weren't like ridiculously young.
As a lot of K-pop fans learn, minors consistently a thing in K-pop.
Yeah. Always around, honestly.
Always happening.
Discography.
It's always been a thing.
The big major ones in the Korean scene, We Hate All Kinds of Violence, 1996, Wolf and Sheep, 1997, Resurrection, 1998, Aya, 1999, and their last one before disbandment, Outside Castle in 2000. There will be a couple other stuff, sorry, at least one other stuff they put out that I know for sure that we'll talk about. But those are their big notable albums that you can easily
It's just interesting that this, a lot of people in K-pop currently will say that, like, oh, well, you know, K-pop groups don't last that long. They only last 7 years. This group only lasted 4.
Yeah, like, the K-pop groups in the very early days did not last that long in comparison to the groups now. Also
considering the fact that, like, again, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but hey, baby K-pop fans, in Korea, idol groups actually are not that... most people don't care about idol groups. They are a niche product.
It's like either 20-something-year-old women like them, or like some teenagers do.
Or some teenagers.
Or if they're a girl group, then they're more broadly liked, but like on a basic level. They're more
broadly, I wouldn't say broadly liked. Their songs are played on the radio, and they're more of like a commercial thing as radio play would go.
Yeah. I mean, but like
they're still an idol.
Kind of more like they're not.
But I'm saying idol groups are not the top tier of Korean entertainer.
No.
They're not. They're not the top tier Korean entertainer. And that's now with K-pop at its global spectrum. Can you imagine being a K-pop idol in this scene that doesn't exist in the 1990s?
No, like, it's like uncharted territory.
You don't want, like, it's completely uncharted territory. I can also feel like it's the 90s. Like, this didn't become what you thought. Maybe didn't become what you thought it would be, and so it only lasted 4 years. And not saying HOT was unsuccessful. HOT was extremely successful, but it did last only 4 years.
Well, kind of more like 5, but we'll get to it though.
5-ish.
Yeah, 5
years. It's not the typical what you'd expect of an idol group, which is now 7 to probably longer, probably extended to like 8 or 9. Usually.
At least minimum for the most part 7, unless the company's
minimum 7, unless they disband early, and that's only because
usually because the company's broke as fuck and they can't. Yeah. But anyways, notable songs from these groups, I would say, would have to be probably Descent of Warriors, Candy, We Are the Future, Happiness, Hope, Aya, and Outside Castle. And keep in mind, these are the English I think most of these are like English translated title tracks, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Some
in terms of ones that you've probably heard, the most common that are always covered that you've definitely heard, Descent of Warriors, you've definitely heard. Candy, you've definitely heard. And I would say Happiness are probably the top 3 that are most covered.
Yeah. Hope a little bit lately, too, has become popped up here and there.
Yeah, here and there. But I would say, like, especially,
And We Are the Future a little bit, too.
A little bit, but I would say not as much as, especially Candy and Happiness. I feel like those are constantly being covered.
Oh, yeah. True.
Especially when a lot of K-pop idols, if you ever hear a medley, like the K-pop idols are going through like a medley of old songs, oftentimes either you'll end up with Candy or Happiness that starts it off. I remember that when TXT and ENHYPEN did theirs, I think last year, I think they did Candy as their thing for HOT.
Pretty much.
It's a fun song. It's a very cute song. I find it very fun.
To think that K-pop as we know it in terms of idol groups took off because of cute songs, but we'll get to there. But
I mean,
we'll start
Descent of Warriors is not a cute song.
Sorry, you were saying?
Descent of Warriors is not a cute song.
No, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But
I mean, I would say that's almost the opposite of a cute song.
No, yeah. But we'll start with the brief history of this group, and brief as in like I try to condense it as nicely as possible, but it might be a little bit, so bear with me. So we'll start off with 1996, the year that all of us on the podcast were born. Hey. The breakup of HOT. Oh my god, So Taeji and the boys. The debut of the first successful idol, and also it was the debut of the first successful idol group, High Five of Teenagers. So then, of course, in order to really kind of understand this group, you kind of got to go back to its founder, Lee Soo-man. So a little bit about Lee Soo-man. He was born in 1952, grew up in Jeongju, South Korea. He attended Seoul National University between 71 and 73 before making a venture into music. And he was briefly a part of the band called April and May. He was part of multiple bands. One of them, April and May, indie band Sand Pebbles, Lee Soo-man in the 365, and Massam Trio over the course of the 70s. He was also a soloist and released a couple hits, including a song called Happiness and A Piece of a Dream. Along with this, he was also a DJ and a TV host during that time. And then at some point, he quit music due to the media censorship in the early 80s because, as I kind of explained in the go back to the previous mixtape for Sotaeji and the Boys if you want to know a little bit more about what Korea was like prior to Sotaeji and the Boys taking off. But essentially, Korea was a military dictatorship from the end of the Korea War up until like the late 80s. Like, I think around 89 was when they officially became like full-on a democracy. But there's a lot more to that. So if you want to know a little bit more context, go back to the first mixtape. But Lee Soo-man in the early 80s moved to the US, and he decided to do that to get a degree in computer science, which I will say, due to a older relative of mine, smart field to get into, especially at the time. And while there, Lee Soo-man got exposed to Western popular music at the time, thanks to MTV, and he got inspired by that, and he decided to go back to the music industry, but this time as a producer. And he founded SM Studio in 1989, which, of course, later became SM Entertainment in 1995. And during this time, he was observing successes in Korea, like Sotaeji and the Boys, and he developed his own in-house, and at that time, he also developed his own in-house training system that he would plan to implement on acts in SM Entertainment. And HOT ended up being a group that he created based off a lot of it based off of polling high schoolers in Korea about what they would like in an ideal idol group or boy group. Because don't forget, this was also around this time when certain boy group acts in the States were starting to take off a little bit too.
This is around your Backstreet, New Kids type era.
And of course, Lee Soo-man again, being a fan of MTV and shit, it's all like, well, this is what the West is doing. Bitch, I gotta get on this. So... So he got on that. He started to recruit young men one by one in Korea, but actually out of Korea. Kanta was first discovered at an amusement park in Korea. Moon Hee-jun and Lee Jae-won were friends. Hee-jun auditioned and passed the audition. Jae-won auditioned but did not pass that audition, but then was scouted by Lee Soo-man later on and brought back, probably for like dancing ability or stuff like that. And then we got John Woo-yeol was recruited after Lee Soo-man saw him perform and win a dance competition. And then finally, Tony Yeon was recruited from an audition in LA. So yes, even back then in the early 90s, Lee Soo-man was already going to LA, Koreatown, and in the States to recruit people, which kind of a wise decision there. And so even from the beginning of K-pop, they were pulling people internationally.
It really does just show that K-pop, there is nothing new. Everything has just always been done.
Pretty much. It's kind of just been like, it's not everything's just... Really, the only group I could think of that was like solely, the most successful solely Korean group is really BTS. Everyone in BTS is from Korea, but every other group you've looked at, even majority in the past. Actually, I can't say that fully, but like a lot of them in the past were from like.
But there's just been, I think that as time has gone on, we've sort of expanded where like idols are starting to come from. Like we only, I think, just like a year or 2 years ago by this point had our first like Vietnamese idol, but in terms of the U.S. And then you get with Super Junior starting China, and then you get with, I don't remember who the first Japanese idol was. That we'll have to figure out on our off time, but what I'm saying is, generally speaking, like, where people have come from has expanded over time. But that they've come from outside of Korea has just become more common. Yeah. Now you're getting
but it was still even in the very beginning here. They picked Tony on off of LA.
Exactly. Like, it used to be that it would be one or two. Now it's like that it's half.
But also Tony-on is Korean too, so it's like, okay, it's not too far out, but it definitely makes him stand out a little bit because he grew up in the West.
Again, yeah, he grew up here. He is not technically, but again, then you get more into like actual like Korean Americans that are just like born and raised.
And then there's the
West,
Koryol-sam, which is like ethnic Koreans from like Soviet countries, like say like Uzbekistan and stuff like that. That's a whole other story for a whole other day.
That's a whole other
I looked into that
that
recently. It's an interesting thing to read about, I will say.
That has nothing to do with HOT.
No, nothing to do with HOT, but back to HOT. John Woo-yuk was recruited by after Lee Lee-soo-man saw him perform and win a dance competition, so there's your main dancer. And then, of course, Tony-on was recruited for an audition in LA. They debuted in September 7th in 1996 with their first album, We Hate All Kinds of Violence. And the first song they promoted was Descendants of Warriors, which we'll get to it, but it's definitely a very Sotaeji inspired track, which critiqued schoolyard bullying, but with more choreography than Sotaeji did.
Yeah, with just full, it's Sotaeji if they just did choreographed, like, full choreographed
Well, like,
numbers.
Sotaeji did do choreography, but, like, you compare HOT to it, and there's, like, a huge difference. It's like, HOT definitely did way more choreography. Like, more impressive looking choreography.
HOT.
Yeah.
HOT. That's Sotaeji.
Did I say HOT? Oh, shit. HOT.
These are weirdly, these two groups are tongue twisters.
HOT, so, you know what? Honestly, knowing Lee-soo-man, he probably did that on purpose, the bastard.
Yeah, can you imagine in Korean, it's probably a similar, like...
HOT, Sotaeji. I mean, honestly, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Honestly.
That's one of our K-pop conspiracy
theories. There's a K-pop conspiracy theory to look onto. And probably even more,
Lee-soo-man
considering what's been coming out lately for Lee-soo-man.
Lee-soo-man pulling shady shit from the beginning.
Yep, honestly, that SM episode's gonna be a time.
I think we need to be... I want to point out, before we even record that, it's all alleged. Lawyers.
Well, that's the point. It's all going to be alleged. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Alleged and our opinions.
We'll get to that when we get to that. We'll make the statement again for that episode. But anyways, the second single, Candy, became basically a smash hit and took over all the charts in the album in Korea. And then the album sold over 1.5 million copies, and they won Best New Artist at the Golden Disc Awards that year. And this was further solidified with the release of their second album, Wolf and Sheep, when it sold 1 million copies in 10 days at the time. And their third and fourth and fifth albums also sold well too in the following years. And some notable, interesting tidbits about the group. The song Wolf and Sheep from their second album, which was the first promoted single of the second album, was banned from airplay due to strong language, quote unquote. Which, with Korea, it's like, they could say, almost half the time with Korea, it's like they say, you suck, and then it's like, oh, strong language, we can't do that. But this was also the 90s where censorship was still a little bit harsh, so like, yeah. And then the song Lineup from the third album, Resurrection, was accused of plagiarism for sounding too familiar to Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine. I've listened to both. Killing in the Name is a great song, by the way. Great rock song. Please listen to it. It's a classic. But honestly, I think the songs are different enough that it's not really too much of a copyright infringement there. Like, I guess you could argue that some of the guitar riffs in that song were, like, inspired by Killing in the Name, but, like, same thing with every other grunge 90s rock song, maybe.
Yeah, everyone... it's the late 90s. Everyone kind of sounded like, everyone kind of sounded like that a little bit, you know what I mean?
But like, I think the plagiarism accusations are kind of a little bit unfounded because the rest of the song does have pop and dance elements to it as well, I think. So for HOT. But anyways, the song Aya from the fourth album titled Aya was about a 1999 fire, a tragic one, that killed 19 kindergarten students and 4 adults at the Sealand Youth Training Center. That's an interesting history in of itself to definitely look into. It's a little bit sad because I don't want to cover that too much, but they did this on Aya in response to that. And actually for a live performance on a studio, they did they didn't show graphic clips, but they showed clips of people crying at that place, being sad and whatnot, as one would expect if you lost your kid and something like that. Like news clips from that. So yeah, this was kind of like look after our kids better, rich people who run these places essentially. Which, like, when you we'll get into that too. SM was kind of ballsy with some of the songs they gave HOT. Honestly,
SM was kind of ballsy for one era of their lives, and then never again.
It was interesting. Not just this era though. Like earlier songs too for HOT.
I'm saying up to this era of this early era of SM.
Yeah,
and then post,
and maybe like one Shinhwa song in particular that was kind of a little bit ballsy, I would say, but otherwise,
would still say that's like super early SM. I'm talking like post getting like when you enter second gen, SM becomes the most mainstream of inoffensive music that you can get in K-pop.
Yeah.
No one is offended by SM songs other than being sonically offended by the fact that some of their songs could barely count as music. I said what I said. Two baddies, one Porsche.
Two baddies, one Porsche. God, we're gonna. I can't wait till we shit against that song at the end of this year. But anyways, moving on to not as tragic things. HOT also released 2 live albums and starred in a financial flop movie, Age of Peace, which was Korea's first 3D movie.
Financial and possibly like quality flop.
Yes.
That sounded
quality
terrible.
flop
That movie
as well.
sounds awful.
This film is hard to find, so good luck trying to find a copy of it. But the soundtrack is very easily available.
I truly believe this movie has been destroyed. I truly believe this movie might be lost media.
Yeah,
I think that Lee Soo-man could have paid somebody to just be like, no. There's copies of this DVD, I think, buried in a Korean like field somewhere that they're like, no, we're done. Bury it.
Not copies of a DVD, probably like on just a video cassette tape.
Video cassette.
Well, actually,
tape?
who knows?
God.
Maybe they. Well, when did they release this? They released this
When were DVDs?
Shit, I think DVDs start off in '98, but I don't know if Korea.
This might have still probably been on VHS.
This might have been on VHS
DVD.
still. Maybe a DVD
VHS
for lucky.
tapes of this movie somewhere in a Korean field, just buried. Lee Soo-man was like, "No, buy all of them, get rid of them, destroy them." Well, I don't think you can find this. It is a 3D Korean film made in 1990. What? 9?
Yeah, I think 99. I think
1999
or 98.
98, 99.
Yeah.
That was a financial failure. Only was able to be played in 3 theaters because it was a 3D film.
Yes.
By a Korean idol group of the 90s.
Yes.
Who even knows if this got a VHS release? They might have just been like, cut your losses, we're done.
Hey, all those Lost Media fanatics on YouTube, I challenge you to find this random ass idol.
Lost Media, if anyone that like has time, this would be a wonderful. We have no time to do this.
And maybe the Jet Keys movie too as well. Maybe
this
that
would
one's
be
more
an
available.
Incredible 45-minute Lost Media documentary on YouTube. The Lost Media Korean idol group alien movie. I'd click that title.
I would. There's like a really good one I watched about like a lost clueless Nintendo game. I forget her name,
there's
but
a lot of
I like that one.
There's a lot of Lost Media things that I'd click on. I'd watch like an hour of someone talking about this.
Yeah. But I guess continuing on, what is this film about? Oh yeah, HOT are soccer players living in a 3D sci-fi world, playing soccer matches against aliens to save the universe. And yeah, the film is hard to find, but the soundtrack is easily available. Donna from CSJH The Grace, which is a future SM girl group, which we'll probably get into them a little bit in the not in this episode, but in the SM company review.
An eventual episode.
Eventually. Yes. She also stars in this film as this princess that I guess Kanta has to save at one point from a dinosaur. This is
which
actual
again,
things.
How in this entire thing do we also have it is a HOT are soccer players.
Yes.
Somehow there's a dinosaur involved because it is both the future and the past. And there's a princess and Kangta has to be a knight in shining armor.
Which apparently might indicate how popular Kangta was, but you know.
I mean, I think that they picked the correct member of HOT to be a male lead. In terms of, hindsight.
Boy. Yeah.
Would you not agree?
I don't think so. They did it for the looks, clearly.
Exactly.
The thing I find funny, though,
That's
is that
why.
This film was apparently filmed for 3 weeks in Japan in, like, a blue screen studio. For the live action
I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched the trailer. It has maybe 5 pixels, so you can't see shit. But no, that movie never saw natural sun. That movie was not filmed outside.
No, that was not.
That film, the sun was not a part of this film. It was
I think they transferred their heads onto like 3D bodies or something.
Oh, it looks like it. There is a trailer for this movie on YouTube. You cannot see anything. It is so grainy and so garbage.
Like, you're better off. So there's like a link to like some like one of those comedian talk shows where they talk with like famous people.
Yes.
And like, I think that you can view the trailer better in that, even though they have cuts to commentary on it. But honestly, the pixelation's much better on that.
The pixelation isn't totally garbage. You still can't see because it's really old footage.
Yeah.
So it still looks like shit.
And there's like a comedian on that episode for some reason who's dressed in like a woman's clothing and has like what they call the red dots on the forehead. I don't know why he does, but everyone else, it's weird. All the other men are dressed like different eras of HOT, and then this one guy is dressed in like a Indian woman's sari, and I'm just like, or whatever it's called.
Which makes me think,
I don't get Korea comedy sometimes. I don't get Koreans.
Any kind of, again, which did also make me think, was there at any point some sort of weird HOT cultural appropriation issue that we are not aware of?
I don't think so. I think the dude was just weird and wanted to dress up in a woman's. I haven't seen this full episode because this is only part of an episode. But like, who knows? Maybe there was some weird bit where that comedian for some reason wore that. I don't fucking know why. I'm just very confused. But ignore that. Otherwise, the rest of the commentary is fine. But just ignore that guy.
Again, I think that you will see the pixelation is not as bad. But dear God, that movie. If I could see it, it would be a dumpster fire. But would I watch it?
We would just be sitting in the back, eating popcorn, shitting on it from a distance the whole time.
It's one of those movies. Like, you need to watch that with a friend. You cannot watch that. It's not a movie to watch alone.
HOT was also one of the first Korean acts to become popular in China. They released their first Chinese album, and to what I know of, only Chinese album, because I don't think they released another one. But
I mean, in 4 years, you only have so much time.
Yeah, so first / probably only Chinese album in 97 at the start of the Asian financial crisis, which that album released in China greatly helped the group and SM with sales at the time. Looking back, I don't think I talked about the Asian financial crisis in the previous episode, but that was a bad time. The 90s was great for everyone else, I guess, but certain countries in Asia. Korea and like particularly several countries in Southeast Asia were hit pretty hard financially. So that's something I would also recommend people to look up into, because the Asian financial crisis has been covered in quite a few K-dramas too out there. So I'd recommend looking into that. Yeah, they had their first concert in Beijing in February 2000, selling out to 13,000 fans. Then in 1999, they had released their greatest hits album, and on June 25th, 1999, they performed with SES, Michael Jackson at a benefit concert in Seoul that was arranged by Jackson. And they were the first idol group to perform at the Seoul Olympic Stadium with over 72,000 fans in attendance. The HOT fandom White Angels notably had real-life beef and fist-fighting with the Jackie's fandom. Watch Reply 1997 for more info and our Scandal Iceberg episodes.
In a weird way, I always think of this from more of the perspective of the Seski's fandom. I think just because they're more in the public eye.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like, oh yeah, that is a part of this. They're the other people involved. Yes, we have talked about this. It is a wild time. Anytime anybody tells you, oh yeah, no, I much prefer old K-pop fans. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want to get stabbed in the street because you said Kangta's mid. Like, no. You don't want that.
They have in Korea.
Whatever insults you want, whatever insults were in 90s Korea, I don't know. My terminology is not up there.
We don't need to be shanking each other in the streets.
You don't need to be shanking each other in the streets. I don't need, like, a cat fight in the middle of just downtown Seoul. Like, that just seems like
downtown LA, Koreatown, because
or downtown Koreatown. Like, that just feels like not a good time. But also, that sounds hilarious. Yeah. In retrospect. Now that all these women are adults.
I can't believe people actually had fistfights over this. This is stupid.
Like, now we just insult each other on the internet. And personally, when I'm insulted on the internet, we find it hilarious. Yeah. We have a good time.
Because unless these crazies on the internet to attempt to dock us or something, it's like, I don't give a fuck about
you. If I get doxxed for my K-pop opinions, I swear, like, I'm sorry. What is going on?
I'm sorry. You would have to deal with my mother, and my mother's a savage, and I don't say that.
You'd have to deal with me. Like, I don't need to bring my mother into this. I don't need to bring.
We don't play. We don't fucking.
I don't need to bring my mother into this. I'm just saying that's really sad if you're doxing me for my K-pop opinion.
It is. It is, like, pathetic. But anyways.
But let's keep going.
So then the group, in May 2001, the group announced their disbandment in a press conference. Kanta and Moon were given solo contracts at SM Entertainment, and the other three chose to leave SM. They had, rumor has it, I think, allegedly, that they had contractual disagreements over pay, where they only received 10,000 USD for every 1 million albums sold. So
and I would like
from the
to
beginning,
point out,
there's SM.
Yeah, I would like to point out from the beginning, this is pre-TVXQ lawsuit. This is pre any form of workers' rights for any sort of idol.
Yeah.
Even now, K-pop idols are still paid extremely poorly.
Yeah.
It is an extremely thankless job and, like, extremely poorly paying job, except if you are in, like, the higher echelon of K-pop idol. So, this is the higher echelon of K-pop idol.
But that's also why sponsorships are important because guess where they're getting a lot of their money from. It's from those sponsorships.
And it's specifically when they have personal sponsorships, not necessarily group sponsorships. Group sponsorships also, like, that, like,
True.
So much of it depends on so many factors, and it's just a kind of sad how little these idols make.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much your SMs now, mainly that now it's more looking at the small companies. The small companies are paying people pennies.
I mean, granted, I don't think we have, well, with the exception of for sure BTS having a boatload of money, I don't think the other groups are necessarily extremely
swimming
wealthy.
in it. No, I
think
wealthy,
maybe
but I do think
17 members make like
money.
maybe 5 figures at each year, or like maybe they crack 6 figures depending.
Maybe
on
they crack
ones.
6 figures. Again, yeah. I think it depends on what. Again, a lot of them are doing solo stuff. I'm just saying, generally speaking, that like there are K-pop idols. It's from the big 3 companies. They are making some money. They are making money.
They're making
maybe
money
that's
to
not
live.
A lot.
And hopefully
maybe that's not enough. What I'm saying is that they are making money.
Yeah.
The smaller companies are not making any money.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not being paid what is given to them. And a lot of people will say, well, how have this group been together for I believe that happened recently with Luna, where they just came out and said we haven't gotten a paycheck. And I'm like, yeah, because what the company is doing
decided to put in
$3
million for their pre-debut stuff, and they're gonna have to pay all that back.
Yes, that, but also the fact of like most of their money is going into their living expenses. They are getting fed, and they are getting food, and they are getting their living expenses all paid for. They're just not getting any money on top of that.
Yeah, they're not. They're not pocketing extra.
They're not
because
pocketing
it's all
any
going
money.
to.
It's all going to their living expenses.
Which, like, in some ways it makes sense, but also I get why. For example, well, we're gonna get too sidetracked, but
yes,
we're gonna get too sidetracked. Why Chu has her beef with Blockberry.
We'll discuss that another time.
That's for another episode.
I'm just saying that even now, like, this continues to be a problem. It's not for your SM groups, but it is for your small companies.
Yeah. So So yeah, in February of 2018, all 5 of them appeared on the Infinity Challenge. RIP, that show's dead still, right?
Yes, I think that show's dead.
Yeah. Saturday is for Singer Special. The third, which is it was the third 90s like singer special that focused on them preparing for a concert. Because there was the first one. I actually love these episodes, honestly. Honestly, some of the best variety TV episodes, in my opinion, that I've ever seen. I don't really watch too much variety TV.
That show was really good.
Yeah, the first one was like one of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different 90s acts into the early 2000s acts. Highly recommend that one if you want to get more in knowledge of like 90s stars. It's a really good episode for that. The second one was Jackies, and then the third one was HOT. And they just solely focus on Jackies, and HOT had their own separate episodes. Highly recommend watching all 3, honestly. Just do it. Let's see here. They also had a reunion concert on October 13th and 18th, and 13th and 14th in 2018. And then another concert from September 20th to 22nd in 2019. And there hasn't been much of the group since. Now on to solo stuff. Excuse me. Moon Hee-jin signed on as a soloist in SM, and then he left in 2005 after releasing like 4 albums and then went into the military. He famously started dating Soleil of kr&B, and essentially had a shotgun wedding. And she gave birth to their daughter in 2017, and then had a son recently this year. The family appeared on the show Return of Superman, I think around 2018 or 2019, with their daughter. And then, so yeah, not too much on him besides the fact that he dated a member and married a member of kr&B and had kids with her. So
yep, a choice.
Besides his own solo music, trying to get more into rock and that not being super successful, but I mean, it was. Yeah. Tony On, Woo Jae-won, and Lee Jae-won, and then Woo Yuk formed the trio JTL, and they released 3 albums and were active from 2001 to 2003. Holy cow! Actually, I do like a couple of the JTL songs. Not too bad, in my opinion.
Again, a continuing choice of a trio of former members of an SM boy group getting together and making a group that has their initials making the name.
Yep.
You know, it's one of those where it's like,
I mean, it's an easy recognition call, you know.
Damn, if I had a nickel, I'd have 2 nickels.
Yeah, so I guess you could say it's a subunit of the group, except not an official SM Entertainment subunit, so
I wouldn't say this is a subunit. I would say this is like an
their own group.
It's a branch group.
A branch group. But let's see here. Yeah, that only lasted for a few years afterwards. But Woo Yuk released a couple albums and EPs. He opened a dance academy because he's the dancer, and then actually had a few activities in China and Taiwan, and mainly in acting and DJing. And I think he might have released some Chinese music too. Jae-won released a couple albums too and went on to be a DJ and a radio host. He did have thyroid cancer in 2014-2015, and to the looks of it, seemingly had a full recovery. He hasn't been talked about him getting sick again yet, so hopefully he's been able to not get sick again, because thyroid cancer sounds terrible. And then Tony On, he started doing some acting and released a few solo works. He dated Girls' Day Hyeri in 2013. And may or may not still live with his friend Jackie's Kim Jae-duk. So yeah, I guess him and Kim Jae-duk live together, apparently.
Okay.
Apparently they're just friends.
Okay. Friends.
I kind of am curious about that. Yeah.
Official statement, friends.
Official statement is friends, but like because
official
you hear things in the past. Yeah.
Official statement, friends. Let's leave it. Let's let the people make their own decisions.
I mean, he did apparently
official statement, friends.
So I don't know.
That doesn't mean anything.
True,
you can
that's
like
true.
what you like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not saying that the Harry thing was a lie. I'm just saying that, you know.
I don't know.
No los dos.
I'm just basically saying that I kind of question the friends term.
Make your own assumptions.
Yes.
Or don't.
Is Tony on Sapporo? I don't know. A Sephora or whatever the fuck her name is. Anyways. Tony On, though, was also investigated for illegal gambling in 2013. Wow. And was sentenced to 6 months suspended prison time and 1 year probation. And then we got Kanta, who has some of the more juicy details, I'd say.
Kanta has probably been the most active of all of these people.
Yes, because he is still a part of SM Entertainment to this day. Period. He was cool.
Again, I think Kanta is just allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Seemingly, I guess. He was in a project group S, which was known as Supreme, with Shinhei, son of Shinhwa, and then Ji-hoon, who was like a solo singer-actor in SM in the early 2000s. We'll probably get to him in the SM Entertainment episode that's eventually coming out. Possibly.
We'll touch upon
He'll have a brief mention, and there's not too much to him, to be honest. Kanta was also in a duo, Kanta and Vanessa, which is Vanessa's Vanessa Wu from F4, which I think she's a Chinese singer. He also, Kanta released solo music, performed in musicals, and hosted a radio show from 2016 to 2018. And then him and Boa, actually in 2014, were appointed as de facto creative directors in SM Entertainment. And now for some juicy personal life tea from him.
Also, to bring it back around, Venice Wu played, I believe, second male lead.
So Venice is a
Meteor
guy.
Garden.
Okay. I don't know why I thought
it's Meteor Garden.
Oh, Meteor Garden.
I believe second male lead in the original Meteor Garden. I believe he's the second male lead. I don't remember. No, he's the fourth male lead of that, I believe.
All right. And then for Kanta, in 2019, he was supposed to have a solo comeback, but then a scandal surfaced with him. There was a racing model, which I think is a model that poses for, like, race cars or something like that.
Yes. It's a model that they use to sell cars.
Yes. So racing model Wu Juan was his ex. And for some reason, she posted and then deleted an old photo of them together. And then wrote an apology of it on Instagram. And then TV personality Oh Jun-hyun, she posted a screenshot of the trending news and wrote about how an ex of hers was getting attention again, an ex who she caught cheating on her with the same chick. Implied. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Juicy.
Oh, yeah. I remember when this started too, I was just like, oh, shit.
I remember
there were articles
happening,
of this on Soupy,
but I
if
forget
anyone's
that
curious.
this. Yeah, but I forgot that this was the specifics.
Yeah,
I didn't realize. My thought was I knew that he got caught up in a cheating scandal. I forgot that it's because she pointed out who he cheated on her with too. I didn't remember that part.
Yeah. Kanta, I think before Oh Jun-hyun came into the fray, he basically like clarified like, oh, hey, we're not dating. Sorry for the, this being coming up. And then after Oh Jun-hyun came into the fray, Kanta canceled the release of the song and all of his other musical works and appearances. And then in 2020, it was revealed he was in a relationship with actress Jung Yoo-mi. And then in 2022, I guess, according to Soupy, there were rumors that they were married, but those rumors were denied by SM and I think whoever runs them.
Who is to say if he is married or if he's not married? I don't know. Also, if you're curious about this woman, Jung Yoo-mi was she been in anything good? She is only really... Oh, she was in Train to Busan. I believe she played the pregnant woman.
Okay.
Yeah, she played the pregnant lady.
There you go, for anyone who's into Korean... Actually, I should watch Train to Busan at some point.
Oh, it's very good. I cried.
I kind of suck at watching shows and movies, I've realized, in recent years. Honestly.
It's very good. I enjoyed it.
That's one of those I have to watch at some point.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's pretty much it for HOT at this point. Now about some of their songs. So we're just going to go over some of their songs. I have them, Sammy, I have them on the document here.
I see them.
Yes, party. So we'll start off with Descent of Warriors. My thoughts, basically Isumon really liked HOT. So much that he was just like, I'm gonna have my boy group do a concept of that.
And you didn't know, because here's the thing with that song. That song also has a decent amount of just, like, distortion on the voices, where you can barely tell who's singing anyway, and it's also the 90s quality, so you can barely tell anything. If you told me it was a Sotaeji song, the only reason I know it's not is because there's multiple people singing.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds exactly like a Sotaeji song.
The fashion is Sotaeji.
The fashion is Sotaeji, the vibe is Sotaeji, the, like, overall, you know, what we're going for is Sotaeji.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely more, like, let's see, like, I'm looking back on the music video, because it does exist on here, just at
It does exist. It has now had that thing happen with SM where they've gone back and just remastered everything.
Certain ones, though, I don't think they remastered this music video.
They did.
They did? Really?
Yeah.
You sure?
It's called Age of Violence on YouTube. It's not called Descendants of Warriors. It's called Age of Violence, which I think is just because, at least back in
I didn't realize they did a remaster of this, because I'm looking at an older one. I'm like,
oh, you found the older one? I can only find this one.
Yeah, I found an older one. So
I'm
used to the Warriors of Descent title. I didn't realize they changed it to Age of Violence.
But, I don't know if you can change a title of a song this far into its existence. I don't think you should be able to. So I'm just gonna it's gonna be Descendants of Warriors. I just think it's one of those things where, randomly, especially in the old, like, first gen, there was no specific, like, official translations are now, at the very least, the English title of the song is the English title of the song. They've decided on it beforehand. I feel like in first gen, no one cared enough that it's just like, yeah, this is the translation in Korean. The translation can be slightly different.
Yeah, just only a smidge different. Yeah, it's...
Oh, you found the other one, but it's not on the SM channel.
No, it's not on the SM channel.
The thing I truly hate, and we'll get into it against other remasters, this remaster looks fine. Some of the remasters look a little too glossy for my taste.
They do, yeah.
Just because they almost... I don't know how a person that is a person can look like they're in the Uncanny Valley, but some of them look like they're in the Uncanny Valley just because they look so, like, porcelain, because it went from so low quality to so high quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it went from, you know, being like a 480p to a 4K video.
Do you know if they remastered Candy?
I believe they did.
Like, I'm curious.
I think SM has remastered everything.
Like, I'm curious.
Did they remaster?
Because I'm like, I know they remastered some. Like, I know they remastered some SES songs, but not all of them. So that's why I'm asking.
Because I found Full of Happiness. I found everything else. I think they're in the process of still remastering that, because I can't even find Candy from the music, like, from the SM channel anymore.
Yeah, it seems like they only did a few of them.
No, I think they're still doing it. They're still doing it as they go. Like, they put out one, like, 2 days ago. They're still remastering. They put out SES's Love 2 weeks ago, remastered.
Oh, shit.
They're still remastered, so I guess they're gonna do all of them eventually.
They're just kind of slowly just doing it.
Putting them out, as to not put them out all at once, I guess. But yeah, I don't think they've gotten to Candy yet, because I can't find it. The annoying thing is that they've taken, I think, all the videos off YouTube. So I can't even, like, you can't really watch the Candy music video unless you watch, like, someone else put it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the remasters, they look a little too pretty.
Yeah, the promise of HOT, I didn't go over that one, but that remaster is interesting because it's all animation.
It is, and I'm like, that seemed like a choice.
That was a choice. That was a B-side. That was a choice.
It's not too bad. I think weirdly, as you go up, because they also had to remaster a few TVXQ music videos.
Yeah.
Which is very funny, because that involves putting the other 3 back on the SM channel.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fun. But, back to the song. I think Descendants of Warriors, it's very not SM.
It's not
not what
SM because like
would
SM, well, SM tries to do hip hop, but like they kind of fail at it nowadays.
But they never. But it's also not this kind of hip hop, though.
No, it's not.
It's very different.
Like this kind of hip hop is clearly early Sotaji and Boys inspired.
And also, no one is really doing this kind of hip hop right now in terms of a K-pop, like in terms of a group.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of like certain 90s hip hop acts.
Yeah.
Which is like nice in a way. And they don't do it terribly.
No.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's just, I don't know. I like it. I do very much like it. Weirdly, a lot of it, again, so many of these songs also get wrapped up in the fact that I've seen them covered so many times.
True.
So it's like, I know them, but I also know them by people that are not HOT.
True.
A lot. Because I genuinely think because we spent so much time with it, the version of the song I have seen maybe the most amount of times has been the Road to Kingdom cover that One Us did. Because we had spent so much time with that show because it was our, again, if you
that
want to
was
see
your and Kayla's like project.
That was we spent so much time with that show.
Oh, yeah.
I probably have seen that. I mean, I don't go back and listen to HOT that often, so I've probably listened to that as much as I have the HOT version. And if you look at it, I just looked it up, you can find BAP covers, you can find Stray Kids and The Boys doing it together. I don't know how these two met to do this. Pentagon has done it. Like, just a simple search and you're gonna find, like, a bunch of groups that do it. So,
pretty
I
much.
don't know.
And then we'll move on to the big boy, Candy.
Candy. I love Candy.
Candy's fun, but you know what's... I have a good story with Candy. So in college, in my senior year, I took understanding modern culture and like China in the 20th century, which is interesting when you tie in the whole CCP factor into it.
Yes,
there was a brief thing that the professor talked about Kpop. She showed one of the either NBC or SBS shows that shows them dancing in their fluffy outfits, and I remember there was someone in the back just being like, "What the fuck." And I'm just like internally like screaming because I'm like, oh my god, 90s K-pop, but also I'm just like, oh god, all these boys in this class are gonna think like, what the fuck am I watching?
True.
They do a lot of intense dancing for this one too.
They do,
and I think they filmed this music video too at Latte World as well.
They do. It's I think one of like the first like. Weirdly, it's also one of the first K-pop videos I feel like that is outside and like.
Well, it's outside in the way because like how they make Latte World, it's inside a building, but it looks like you're outside.
But what I'm saying is like they're not in a box.
Yeah.
They're not in a freaking
and there's like a random white chick in like a German outfit there, so it's like it's interesting.
It's Latte World. That's Latte World.
I like it. They have a token white girl in this song. I love it. I love
Candy.
it.
I think it's so cute.
It's so fluffy.
Weirdly, it's so fluffy. It's so fun. You've heard Candy, even if you think you haven't heard Candy. Like, you've heard Candy. Candy has been done by everybody and their mother.
I think it's about a song about a guy proposing to a girl is what I keep hearing it's about, so that's cute. Or wanting to give her, like a promise ring or some shit like that.
Again, name a K-pop group I think they've done Candy. Big Bang has done a cover of Candy, if you want to just point out just the amount of people that have done covers of Candy.
Yeah, Big Bang has did a cover of Candy.
Covered and dance cover of Candy. Full cover of Candy. Like, it's insane. Like, it's so fun. I love it. I think it might be, in terms of HOT songs, probably the most iconic HOT song.
Probably, but also the one that people outside of Korea, I feel like, know the most, too. If they're gonna know an HOT song, it's gonna be this song.
It is, like, it is their song.
Yeah.
It is the HOT song.
I mean, it's a song that got them big in the first place, so, like, there's clearly some sentimental value.
To be honest, just because I think it's so cute. But, like, at the very least, it is, like, the HOT song.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I don't know if at the time anybody was expecting... Again, I think in hindsight, hindsight is everything. I think over time, it's the one that stood the test of time. I don't know if at the time they were like, no, this is the biggest hit that they've ever had.
Oh no, this was the one that got him on the map. War to Descent got him a little bit of traction, but like this was the one that put him on the map.
This is the one that put them on the map, but like it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be your signature song, because I do feel like at the time I think they were trying to push things like Happiness, and we are like there are other songs I think that they would have preferred. And I think SM would have preferred other things.
Oh yeah.
But the next song is We Are the Future.
We are the future.
It's of its time.
I mean, I kind of
It's
I
not
kind of
bad.
like this. I kind of like this a lot.
I'm just saying that, like, it's not bad. But you know how Candy...
Oh, the fashion is very much of its time, though. It's not a lie.
I think the song is of its time.
It is not a lie,
but you know
that fashion.
How Candy... There's something timeless about Candy. A song like Candy, I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
in a way.
There's something that, like, it can be made, or, like, there's a way to do it anytime. You look at We Are the Future, and you're like... If you did it now, it's retro throwback.
Oh, yeah.
To this era. It is not a timeless sound. And that's not bad. That is fine. Songs sound like when they came out. Music is very of its time. But it is very of its time.
It really is. Especially the hair on some of them. Oh, God.
But even just, like, the way the synths are just, like, out here. The way it's
to
just, like,
the music production, too.
Beat.
Really.
Yeah, the music production, like, the pounding beat, it's so much.
It's like dance, like it's
techno...
definitely 90s techno club music, which was definitely big in Europe. So, like, they definitely pulled from Europe.
But also,
for this one.
kind of, because it's, like, 90s, it's, like, but it's also not, like, European 90s house techno. It's just techno. Take the house out of it.
Yeah. True. Like, it's definitely something I feel like you'd see, like, a club kid in, like, the 90s in New York City vibe to a little bit.
Kinda.
The
rapping was a choice.
Not necessarily the rapping, but,
the rapping was I'm just gonna say that the rapping
SM trying to force some rapping in there.
Was a choice.
I'm looking at this music video again, and some camera shots are definitely very interesting that they use, like, in terms of, like, how they move them and stuff like that. And, like, there's definitely this whole, like, anti-school violence theme in this music video, which is another... Fair. Which I guess ties into the We Are the Future.
Also, how has this not been remastered yet?
I'm surprised, too. I don't know why.
Again, I think I'm just gonna get to it, maybe eventually.
Eventually.
But, I'm just saying, generally, I guess they couldn't go back outside after Candy.
I guess not. I really don't know.
They got put back in that box. What's the next one? Happiness?
Next one is Happiness, which is I think this one's a cover of one of Lee Soo-han's songs. I think it might be
that, or like it's like a reworking of it.
I think it's definitely a cover of a older song. It might be Lee Soo-man's song. It might be another person's song, but it's a cover of it. But this one became pretty popular though. Either way, yes.
If I'm being honest, you want me to be real?
You don't like it?
No.
No. You're not a fan?
It's not for me. I think that there is potential here. You know the part I don't like, right? I think the chorus is fun.
You like the chorus?
I like the chorus is fun. I don't like the whatever the gravel
thing the frog rabbit like rapping.
Why is there an 80-year-old chain smoker here?
Yeah.
Why is my uncle the 80-year-old chain smoker here? Like, what's going on?
I don't know what the hell is going on there with the 80-year-old chain smoker.
Like, that was a choice. Who's even doing that?
I think it's Wooya who is.
God. Poor him.
Yeah.
The chorus is very fun, which is why I prefer covers of this song. I like the covers of this song. It's mainly because they take out that gravel.
Huh. Because they're just like, that's like inhumane to do.
Because also, like, you can't force, especially, like, if you do that now, people are just gonna be like, what happened to this group? They're gonna be like, what is this choice you've made?
It is a choice.
And when it's really not a choice they made. It's
like, it's nice to listen to.
I think the song is very cute. Other than that bit. And that bit is one of the first bits you hear.
True.
It's not at the end of the song, it's at the beginning of the song. It's like the first verse is sung like that.
And this music video is like so 90s, but also tennis. like a lot of tennis vibes, and I don't know why 90s, they're like, yes, tennis for your theme for this. I'm
maybe
like,
Korea was into tennis in the 90s.
Maybe when this opened, maybe there was like some, like maybe there was a tennis competition happening around the time they did this, and they're like, we're gonna do a tennis theme.
Maybe Korea just liked tennis.
Maybe. But also, that's the baggy jeans, the baggy pants, the shirts. You know,
it's the fact everything. That all the clothes are 7 sizes
Oh god,
the
big. Clothes are such big clothing.
Like you can fit all of them in one of those shirts.
You probably could, honestly.
You could fit them all in like those pants, especially.
Also, I don't know why they have Heejun wearing a hat this whole time, like a beanie. It has to be hot out. It looks like it'd be hot out.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think that after the gravel finishes, it gets to be a better song. That's just my opinion. Which is, again, why I think some covers of this are very cute. Super Junior did a cover of this, I think, too.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they did,
It's one of the earliest Suju songs, too. And they don't... Okay, I went back to the Super Junior one. They don't do the gravel.
Yeah.
Obviously they don't, because it's Super Junior. Who could even do it?
But yeah, I mean, it's a decent song. It's one of the more like songs. Is it
sacrilege if I say I think like because they sound the same because they're kind of it's the same song done by the same company, just with one group instead of another one.
Yeah.
And because of the gravel, I kind of like the Super Junior version more.
Yeah,
not that HOT is bad. I just think that one part ruins it for me, and it's so early in the song. Alrighty.
Alright, moving on to, I think the one that they definitely pushed for when they, recent years, Hope, which I think is definitely one of their bigger fan favorite songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, like, got some nice messaging in it, you know, it's your classic,
It's cute.
The music video is dramatic as fuck, though.
It is.
It's 7 minutes long.
It's 7 minutes.
We have a lot of I think, church Catholic imagery, maybe?
There's a lot of Catholic imagery.
Which is interesting. I mean, Korea has Catholics. There's a subset of them, but it's just like...
I'm just saying that there was a choice being made. There were a lot of choices.
It feels like a 90s drama in a lot of ways.
It does.
They're trying to
act. It's filmed like a 90s drama. There's a reason none of these people became the stars of the generation.
Yeah.
There's a reason none of these people could even make it in early 2000s K-dramas. If you've watched early 2000s K-dramas, you know that K-dramas have come a long way.
Oh god, yeah.
I don't know, one of them's dying, there's children crying.
There's a children that has cancer that's dying, and maybe it's a brother, someone's bleeding out of their head.
I don't know, there's so much
there's a hospital
rain
scene.
There's so much rain that's only on, like, half the screen because, you know, budget.
There's a girl in a wheelchair that one of the members...
Someone's got to sell their prized violin. I don't know. There's so much going on. It almost distracts from the song. I really feel like they wanted... You know what this feels like to me? And this is gonna be depressing.
Yeah.
This is like round 1, and you want to know what perfected this? Haru Haru by Big Bang.
Yeah.
Haru Haru by Big Bang is the same thing, but better.
Yeah.
And I would also say this, no offense to the song. The song is good. The song is fine. Haru Haru is a better song.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it seems like they definitely try to be like, oh, well, actually, when you think about it, though, this was released in 1998 at, like, when the financial crisis in Asia really took a hit.
Yes.
So I'm thinking this might have been a song that they put out in response to that to be like, don't lose hope, people. Things are gonna come. And then it turned into a fan song.
But here's the other thing. I don't think you need a major financial crisis to put this song out, because every group has this song. That's, like...
True, but I wouldn't be surprised if that inspired it, because they seem to have a thing of getting songs put out there inspired by events, which we'll talk about with the next song. So
we'll talk about that.
Seems to be a thing SM did.
I think the next song was a better version of it. This just seems like inspiration porn.
Yeah.
Which, if you know what that means, it just means that it's like it's out here to make you feel sad and just because, and it's not really saying anything. it's saying the most generic message there is, and I have songs I like a little bit more that do the same thing.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
It's just a fine song.
It's fine. And like, I can imagine there are people out there that this is the one that they prefer over the other ones. Because most of these songs sound kind of similar and the message is the same, and it just depends on which one you like more.
I feel like this is one of the better of the inspirational porn songs, I would say.
I think it's mid.
It's mid. But then again, inspirational porn, I'm not saying actual porn, but just the inspirational vibe songs. They're just, they're fine. Not the best songs.
They're usually fine. Most of them are fine. Yeah. There's some of them that I really like that I think are better than others. Personally, I think Haru Haru is a better inspiration.
Yes, I agree.
Music video.
That's probably one of the best ones out there.
Yeah, in my opinion.
It is probably one of the best K-pop songs of all time too, but that's another story for another day.
That's a bit.
Okay.
I don't sign off on that.
Okay.
Of all time?
Well, maybe in my opinion, but
in your opinion, I can't.
I think it's fair if you don't like it, though. But
no, I think it's a very good song. I wouldn't put it in my top, 20.
Okay, I don't know. It's at least top.
It's
30.
up there.
But yeah,
50 definitely.
But anyways, yeah, Hope is fine. Hope is fine. Yeah.
Again, I think in terms of their songs, I have I would put, in terms of if I'm ranking their songs, I'd put Candy 1. Probably.
We didn't finish their other 2 songs yet.
No. I'm saying so far.
Okay.
So far. I'd put Candy 1. Maybe Descendants of Warriors 2. We Are the Future 3. Happiness 4. Hope last. Because I can get over that one part of Happiness. And that has energy in it. That's my opinion.
Okay.
The other 2 songs will fit in there eventually.
Fair enough. All right, and then we got Aya, which again, as we talked about, was partially created because of that tragic fire that happened at a kindergarten place. Yes. So I don't know if it was a school or a summer camp or something like that, but it was
This is a remastered music video, so they have decided to remaster this one.
So they definitely are inspired by honestly, I'd say the Soteji influence is still there because they're doing rock elements now. Back. And we have Heejun with Edward Scissorhands or Razor Hands, Claws, Freddy Krueger.
Nah.
It's a choice in fashion.
Your guess is as good as mine because it really just it's Freddy Krueger but both hands, and it's just a never.
Because the messaging of the song is good, but I'm just kind of confused by the anime imagery.
Distracted.
The crack anime imagery that they have them do for the shows and for the music video.
I don't know. It does not. It almost weirdly undercuts the message.
It does. I'm like, why are we
why is Freddy Krueger here?
Why are we doing this to Mooney Joan? He got stuck with some of the shittiest hair choices too. Honestly.
The thing with this is that I like this message more than I like this song.
Yeah. I agree.
I think that the actual Sonic song is just I just feel like I'm being yelled at.
Yeah, because they basically have the rappers yelling because they're like, you can't sing, it's rock, so you're a shout.
And also you're not rapping. And also they can't really rap yet, so just yell.
Yet.
And I don't like being yelled at, especially in a message song. I think when you yell a message song, it almost makes me kind of resent the message. Because I'm just like, why are you yelling at me? I didn't do anything.
I also like the token white kid, but also the token black dad and his black kid in the music. I don't know why. It's like they filmed this in like New York City or something. I'm like very confused.
I don't know. So many choices were made.
They filmed part of this in New York City, but the members aren't in the city streets, but they're in...
The other thing with it is that there's also so many close-ups of... This is a nitpick, and this also just might be a nitpick of how
the amount of lighting they blast in their faces, too.
No! The fact that there's so... You can tell this music video is never meant to be seen in 4K, because there's so many close-ups of their face, and none of these boys, I think, has ever seen a little bit of lip balm in their lives.
No, not even lip balm. They paint makeup and foundation on their lips.
They did, and
I'm
I just
like,
want to like wipe it off and give them a little bit of lip balm, because you can also tell their lips are cracking because when you see it in 4K. Because, dear God, for some reason we had to remaster this to the highest quality. I'm like, why is this? You can tell shit from this era was not meant to be seen with this many pixels. You can tell I'm not supposed to see their pores.
They also have some like really decrepit, broken down house they're standing in front of too.
Again,
and it's like I can see the ring light they're singing in front of. And it's like, what?
I don't know. It just seems like this. There was a vision. They executed the vision. I think the vision's a little too on the nose, and the vision is a little too... Maybe subtlety is needed more. Because I think Descendants of Warriors is a better version of this, because I do think that it is more... I wouldn't call Descendants of Warriors subtle. But, like, the messaging is there, but I'm not being yelled at. And also not Freddy Krueger hands.
True.
It's not bad. It's pretty good. But, like, am I gonna actively look for this to listen to? Also, it's, terms of a song specifically called Ah Yeah, not my favorite.
Or Ah Yeah.
Ah Yeah.
Ah Yeah. Then we got the Magne, like, screaming at the top of his lungs at the end of the song.
The
it's like,
Boyfriend
alright.
song, I think, is better.
There's aspects of the rock elements I like. And they harmonize decently in the choruses. But, like, the other parts I'm just like, it's a weird mismatch, man.
I feel like there are parts of this that are good. I just feel like they're very short.
Yeah.
Like, I like the harmonies and, like, parts of it. But then I feel like I get screamed at for 2 minutes. Also, that song is really long.
It is.
This song is,
you know what's longer, though?
About 4 minutes.
Outside Castle.
Yeah, Outside Castle.
Outside Castle. I don't think it's their last, I think, like, first
title
promoted
track.
song, but, like, I think they also promoted a couple other songs from the album, too, but, like, I think this was the last bigger one of those releases. Yeah, this one I actually like a lot. I would love it 100% if someone didn't say the N-word, because I'm pretty sure someone says the N-word in this song, I'm just like, damn it.
We couldn't
bastards.
get through it. You can't get through it until you get one N-word in there.
I'm like, oh, fucker. But the rest of the songs, I think it's really good. Like, I like the string elements they did on the song. I love, like, how it combines with the little, like, there is a little bit of, I don't want to say it's full-on techno, but there's a little bit of that, like, what's that? I don't know how to describe it. It's like, you know, Y2K digital age sound to it. I think they actually blend it not too badly together.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
I think especially after the last one where it was just so in your face, this is a little more of the subtlety I enjoy.
They bring the artistry to this one too in the performance. They do. It's like almost like they had an inkling that this might be the last one, so let's actually go off with a bang.
Who's to say?
Maybe.
But like, I enjoy this one.
It gives me a little bit of goth. A little bit.
It is. HOT's discography is giving a little bit of goth, taking out things like Candy and Happiness. I'm sorry, Hope wasn't giving you a little goth? Freddy Krueger out here being like,
well, no, not Aya. Aya gives me goth. Hope is wholesome.
Sorry, I said.
I was about to say, I'm like Hope and Happiness give you goth.
Aya does.
The end of their careers, they definitely went to more of that like anime goth aesthetic.
I mean, that seems correct for 1999 to 2000.
Yeah. Yeah, also the harmonizing of Hyejun and Kangta in this one is, I think, really well done. I think they do a good job with the singing, in my opinion. I think they pair off well to each other. The rapping's not, no one's shouting the rapping.
No one is yelling.
Or actually, maybe a little bit. But, like, it's not too much. It's quick.
It's not the entire rap verse.
Yeah. Like, the dancing's not too bad, too, actually. I found the music video. I don't think they remastered this one yet.
They haven't yet.
They should.
That'd be an interesting one. Again, I am questioning whether we should remaster any of them.
Fair, but, like, this one's not a bad one to do.
For what it is, I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't a bad song. Not a bad song for them to end on,
not
career-wise.
a bad song. I mean, they don't really have... I mean, we didn't... I'm sure they do have bad songs in there. But in terms of the ones that we talked about, none of them are particularly bad.
Yeah.
So how would you rank them, Maria?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, the way I see it is like, you're ranking them, it's like, I feel like ranking them in terms of idol groups is almost like ranking Snow White in terms of comparing Snow White to other animated films.
No, I just mean in terms of these songs to each other.
Oh, these songs to each other. I mean, that's
like in terms of this song too.
I mean, like 1, 2.
Favorite,
I see.
What's your favorite HOT song of these?
I'll probably say Candy 1. I actually do like Outside Castle a lot, so I'll probably give it 2. This We Are the Future and Descendants. If I had to pick, which one do I listen to more? Probably We Are the Future 3, Descendants 4, Happiness 5, IS 6, and Hope 7, probably. The third album, I like more the B-sides on the third album. I know you haven't probably listened to that, but I like more the B-sides on the third album more than the title tracks.
Interesting.
Yeah, I probably go with that ranking, which I feel like is not a popular ranking. But
I think we just both can agree that Candy is their best song.
Candy is probably their best promoted song for sure.
Yeah, Candy is at least their best title track.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, I think that's final thoughts on the group. How do you think they did for a first successful boy group?
I mean, I think they're pretty good. I think that, again, you can tell that there's a lot of influence. You can tell that this is almost a stepstone group. Because you can see the influence of your Soteji. And you can see how in another couple years you're gonna get your TVXQs and your Super Juniors, and I'm just talking
Shinhwa.
From SM. Your Shinhwas and all of the... Well, no, Shinhwa is... I almost call them more of a contemporary of them.
Yeah,
more
fair.
so than
they are the next evolution of boy groups at SM.
Yeah,
though.
they are younger.
Yeah.
They are a younger group than them, but I almost consider them like a weird, more of a contemporary of them. I'm talking specifically going from the jump of first gen to second gen.
Yeah.
You can see where that influence comes from of idol groups are going to take this part of this group that they like.
You can see some of the early elements in HOT, I feel like the early group prototypes.
Yeah.
They had a lot of
them. And the early group sound, especially with songs like your Candy, like Happiness, even like Outside Castle, you can see how that influences what groups continue to do into second gen. I mean, even with songs you can see elements of even the song in the evolution of K-pop.
Yeah. There's a little bit of rock that comes back here and there. And also present.
A little bit of screaming that comes back every couple of years.
True. Or just evolved from screaming to just rap talking.
I mean, especially in second gen, you can see where the influence of rap keeps going from your Soteji, which actually had decent rapping, to this, which is to second gen, where they also had
And they got a little bit better in third gen.
Got a little bit better in third gen. Third gen actually had rappers. Fourth gen is weird because, you're either getting people that are actual rappers or your second gen level rappers, which is nothing.
And then you have the rise of popularity of Korean rap in Korea when it's you can't...
That's an entire separate thing.
And then so what makes rap good in Korea changes a lot.
Yeah.
But, overall, I say they're actually not a bad group to listen to.
They're not bad.
I think it's interesting. It's an interesting time capsule to listen to.
And I can understand the elements that have persisted.
Yeah.
The songs that continue to be covered by this group make perfect sense.
Yeah.
And, people continue to, they continue to be a group that people talk about less so, but I can also kind of understand why, especially a current modern audience, that if you get into K-pop right now, this isn't going to appeal to you. And I can understand that. It's very of its time.
It really is. It's it just screams essentially 90s influence. It's just, it's funny to me how much it screams just 90s. But it's a nice, because I was a little kid. We were both little kids when that happened. So yeah, overall, I think not too bad. I mean, clearly it was successful enough to get them pretty goddamn popular and really upstart, SM Entertainment. But yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. And really set the, I think, the normal 5-member formula in K-pop. Or 5-7, right around that group range. All right, moving on to the first, and probably the first super successful idol girl group that SM Entertainment also decided to be like, let's do this. But this time, woman. Just woman. So that's where you get SES. The members of SES, now yes, SES is an acronym, and it stands for the members' names. We have Bada, which her name means sea in Korean, so there's one S. Eugene, the E, and then we got Shu as the other S. So there you go. Acronym, but this time they're stage names.
Acronym, but actually an acronym.
Yes. Their fandom name was called Friend because, again, early idol days in Korea. You might as well.
Early idol days, you just pick words.
And their official color was pearl purple, which is a very specific kind of purple, I guess.
Which, again, now is beginning to, you get into the specific... I like that we go from white, which isn't a color. White's not technically a color. To, pearl purple, which is a very specific color.
It's a light color. I like the color purple, though.
I do. I like it. But it is a very specific shade of purple.
All right. So for SES, they've probably arguably released more stuff than... actually, no, maybe just about. With
they released about the same, but also have had a reunion that HOT didn't have.
True. A reunion album. So SES, the first album. That one was in 97, Sue Eugene C. The second album, 98. Love, the third album, 99. A Letter from Greenland, 2000. Surprise, I think, was 2000 or 2001. Choose My Life, You, which is 2001. And then Shu Eugene C /Friend, which is another special album, which is 2002. And then they have their Remember, SES 20th Anniversary Special Album, which I guess is their 8th. Sure. Something like that. Sure. And then some notable songs from them. 'Cause I'm Your Girl, Dreams Come True, Twilight Zone, Love, Be Natural, Just a Feeling, At Soul to Soul, or at least I think it's notable, and then Paradise. All right, some brief history again. It was
a little shorter than the history of HOT, where we had to go into the history of Lee Soo-man's life.
Yeah, a little bit, so you get the context. This one, not as much because
Lee Soo-man.
Yeah, he's Soo-man, man. 1997, the year the beloved Princess Diana died. The year of birth for 3 random men known as Kun Pimuk, Bu Wakul, Wan Yibo, and Jeon Jungkook, which never heard those people.
Yeah. Many...
Kun Pimuk may or may not be known as Bam Bam.
Bam Bam. I'm like, are you really out here trying to say Bam Bam's real name?
Yeah.
But yes, I love us just bringing up those 3 men. 3 men we've never heard of.
Never heard of before. And of course, it was the year the UK gave back control of Hong Kong to China. Big geopolitical news there. So Lee Soo-man, though, was busy crafting.
And also me, Kayla, and Maria were 1.
Yes, we were all 1.
We're a few months to the year of 1 between that time.
Somehow.
You.
And then Lee Soo-man, he already had 1 successful boy group, and when he formed in his idol system, he was not content, though, with just 1 group. He wanted a girl group trained in the same system he developed, which first led to the discovery of Bada, discovered by Lee Soo-man when he saw her perform at her Performing Arts High School in 1996, and then he shortly afterwards offered her a recording contract. And this was a saving grace for her, because at the time she was living in poverty in a container home for 9 years that was provided by a local church. And this happened when her trot singer father, Chae Sewol, fell ill and couldn't do the singing thing anymore. I think he might have had some form of cancer or some other long-term illness. But yeah, so yeah, Bada wasn't wealthy. She was roughing it for a while before her big break. Meanwhile, Lee Soo-man also received an audition tape from a girl straight from the island of Guam. And that was Eugene, who was born in Seoul and then moved with her family to be with her grandfather in Guam in 1992, where she learned English and attended school there until about September 97, right before coming back to join SES. And then she did eventually graduate high school in 1999, apparently with high marks, so good for her. And meanwhile, there was one more girl who managed to audition at SM, the usual audition way. A alleged ethnic Korean from Japan. Ethnic Korean / may have Japanese ancestry, kind of unsure, because based on some websites they say both of her parents were ethnically Korean, or just one of them was. Either way, that was Shu. And so the girlies had a quick little idol training smackdown, and then they debuted in November 28th of 1997. And so the concept for Cause I'm Your Girl was very cutesy at the time, and the fashion the girlies had was very influential. I had fun writing this. You couldn't tell. Take a wild guess who the it girl was, Sammy. Who was the it girl from this fashion that you saw in this music video? Potentially. We can get to it.
Oh, God.
It's like, take a wild guess who the it girl was.
I fucking wonder.
Who it was. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Also, the rap section in this song was performed by a young Eric and Andy pre-debut to Shinhwa, which is SM's next boy group, but we're not talking about them in this episode. Probably in a future episode, because Shinhwa has a very long history. So also some other tidbits. The song "Dreams Come True" came off their second album. It was a cover of Finnish pop groups Nylon Beats Like a Fool. I think this is the first instance where SM bought the rights to a international song that I know of, and then used it for their own artists to promote. So there's that.
That would become a thing that they do.
Yes, that's a very common thing that they do. We'll probably mention it in the SM episode too as extra tidbit there. Yeah. But yeah, their third album marked them dyeing their hair blonde, which they apparently spontaneously the members decided to do because they were like, fuck it, we want to be blonde. And that caused them to be banned from TV shows. And that was the case until fans were basically just like, what the fuck, guys? And then that ban of having blonde hair was lifted. So there you go. Look at that. SES getting rid of stupid bands for some reason. I want to point out though, HOT did have some crazy wacky hair. They were never blonde, but they definitely had like orange hair. Moody June especially had some really wacky hair.
They had a lot. He had oh God,
he had some wacky hair that they did to him, the poor guy.
All of them had some wacky hair.
Yeah, Kangta had the most sane hair, though, I would say. I don't think they ever dyed his hair.
Kangta has what I like to call the, it's a very common thing you find in a lot of boy groups, which is what I call the Unwoo effect, which is that...
Well, this was before Unwoo, though.
It is, but I'm saying I call it now the Unwoo effect, which is the fact that they can't do anything super crazy with him because he's considered the moneymaker and the face. If he can't get jobs, they're fucked. You see that a lot with a lot of the idols that are currently now have to constantly be actors. Rowoon has the same problem. He can never have wacky hair.
So that's one consistent, and frankly, some of them maybe don't really want to.
Some of them don't really want to, but some of them notably don't do it. Because the company can essentially tell them to dye their hair, and for the most part, they will dye. They're willing to dye their hair, but they will only dye their hair or if they're gonna change their hair, colors. It's gonna be, if they're an actor or something, it's gonna be subtle hair changes, or something that's makes them look professional still. Yeah, it's subtle hair changes. They can do a dark gray. I think Onu has done gray. But that's just because you can turn your hair back to black very quickly, and it won't. Or really even brown. Anything. Brown, you could probably get away with too. Honestly, I don't think he's even done brown. Wow. I think he's only done this very dark color. I think he's had some blue, some dark blue. I don't remember exactly, but for someone like that, or a Rowoon, someone that's very known for being that classic Korean handsome. Whereas in other actors, I've seen Park Ji-hoon was blonde in a show, but that's also part of the show. But generally speaking, some are allowed to do a little bit more, but some of them stay that classic, and I can understand that they kind of wanted, we can have the wacky members. But Kangta's gonna stay the Korean the Korean beauty standard one. Yeah, I mean, even with the member that they did choose to be the Korean beauty standard in SES, they had her dye hair though.
her hair was dyed and shit. So like,
yeah,
I guess,
but like SES, I'm gonna say now, SES did not have as crazy of a hair, and they don't do that to girl groups as often to have the crazy, insane, ridiculous hair moments. HOT's hair looked stupid. SES's hair kind of just was a different color, but similar.
Well,
style.
They had some interesting hairstyles. Some of the styling,
they were interesting, but like at the end of the day, they could take out the hairpins that are pinning them in, and their hair usually looks kind of normal. HOT had some stupid hair, and it was cut that way.
True, it
was cut that way. You had to wait for that shit to grow.
Yeah. It's like, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, boy.
Moving on.
Oh god, wait, where's my place in this document? Okay, SM then in 1999 decided to have SES debut in Japan because conveniently they have a member who could speak Japanese because she lived there her whole life or something like that. They released 2 albums. I wouldn't say they were not commercial successes, but I would say they were moderate, but they
were moderate,
but
fine. It is still okay. It is still the point that SM would not really reach the Japanese market until BoA.
Yeah.
It would still take a few, like, it still
They
takes
tried,
years
though. They definitely
tried. This was not a full-on failure.
No, it wasn't a full-on failure.
But it is still correct to say that BoA, before someone brings up BoA, before someone is out here being like, well, BoA.
And like this one made sense because they already had a member that spoke Japanese, so it was just like, all right, let's use her, utilize her language talents somehow.
Which again, this was not a failure, but like BoA it would take until BoA for it to really, for K-pop and the Japanese market to like fully intermingle the way they are now.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. What else do they have? Yeah. And then they actually released their 4.5 surprise album actually does have Korean versions of some of their Japanese songs. And that's what most of the album is. So, like, that's a first, too, of, like, being like, hey, let's re-release these songs.
Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, usually.
Usually Japan gets just Japanese versions of all their Korean songs.
Oh, yeah. And then the group disbanded in 2002. However, Shu was the only one that remained until 2006 at SM. The members also did appear for the Infinitely Challenge Saturdays for Singers special in 2014, which was the first Back to 90s episode, minus Eugene, though, because Eugene was pregnant at the time. So, makes sense. You have a baby, maybe can't really be doing some dancing. I think it was Soyeon from Girls' Generation that came in and took her place at the time. So Soyeon performed with Bada and Shu for that episode. And then in 2006, 2007, all the 3 members had their 20th anniversary comeback and album under SM Entertainment, and they did pretty much promotions until Bada got married, I guess, that year. Speaking of solo adventures, Shu stayed with SM until 2006, and she basically focused on features and songs and a few acting and hosting roles here and there. She married a basketball player, Im Hyo-sun, and had her son, Im Yu, in 2010. She married Hyo-sun in 2010 as well. And she had twin daughters, Ra-yul and Rahi, in 2013. Her kids and Eugene's daughter actually did appear on the show Return of Superman in 2017. I think Eugene's family, her first daughter at the time she had, and her husband were on the show. And then I think Shu and her daughters appeared as like special guests or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then Shu got into some legal trouble. In 2018, Shu was found to have been gambling overseas for several years, and not just little bitty gambling, like actually a lot of money. Like I think it went into the 6 figures. I'm pretty sure, like 6 figures USD gambling.
Yeah.
She was sentenced in 2019 to 2 years probation and 80 hours of community service. And then later on, like the most recent thing I saw about that was that she was ordered in I think it was May of 2020, she was ordered by the court to pay back 340 million won of gambling debt, which I think in USD is about like $34,000.
Ish, yeah.
Still a good chunk of money.
She laid a lot of money to accrue in gambling debt.
Yeah, she at some point she clearly got a little bit too gambling happy, and
yeah.
And then recently I noticed this year,
it's an addiction like any other.
Yeah. I noticed this year in 2022, she became an ambassador for Ambassadors Solve Gambling Problems. So I guess this is her redemption era now. So then she could eventually do more things in the public eye. So yeah, hopefully, it sounds like though, based on the amount of money she gambled, it was more so of a problem. So hopefully she's been able to get away from that habit and not, especially for the sake of her kids. Like, I think her 2 daughters are like about 9 now. So like,
yeah, by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for her. Change her life around.
Yeah, but that's also why she's been out of the public eye pretty much since 2018. And hence why SES... Well, I don't think SES was going to do much together.
Again,
I think
I think SES was out here for their 20th anniversary.
Like, I think the only thing she screwed her out over was doing some more family variety shows at this point.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But also, who knows if that's really something her family, especially with her children being now getting older,
that she wants to do even at this point.
That her kids want to do.
Yeah, no, I don't think
because by this point, if at 9 you kind of have, you can have like Return of Superman. They're lucky none of the the good thing for that show is that those kids are so young they can't really have an opinion.
True.
They just sort of.
It seems like they do that show where they like pretty much only film on the weekends for the most part, and then like
yeah. But that's the other thing is like those kids can't really have an opinion. They're toddlers.
True.
A 9-year-old can just be like, no.
But they do stop. A lot of them stop after a certain age.
Yeah, they stop after a certain age, which I think is good for the kid.
Yeah, because at some point the kids are going to want to break.
Like SES was out here, just did their that special album as their 20th year anniversary.
Yeah.
And that did really feel like a one-off. Hey, this is a celebration.
Yeah.
Not a hey, we're gonna come back.
Yeah, no, they got their own personal stuff. It's probably like, well, we're still youngish enough to still kind of do some dance moves, so let's just do it now,
and also like this is a big moment. This is 20 years. Like yeah, sure, let's come back and do stuff.
You know, it's like SM's gonna let us do it? All right, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
They still have the rights to
Girl Generation just did the same thing.
All right. And
Similar
then
thing.
We got Eugene. She left SM in 2022 and basically has mostly focused on acting on TV, hosting, and doing an OST here and there. She actually released a couple beauty books, one in 2009 and one in 2011. She actually recently appeared in Penthouse War and Life.
She did.
I don't know how good of an actress she is, but she appeared.
She's a good actress. She's a good actress.
She's actually good?
I enjoyed her character. I mean, okay. So, we have a lot of opinions on the Penthouse.
Yeah.
The Penthouse 1 and 2 are 2 very good shows.
Was she on any of those seasons, or no?
She was on all 3 of those seasons. She played... So, her character is sort of the... How do I put this? She is one of the 3 main characters.
Okay.
She is probably in that first season, like, the main character that first season.
Okay, interesting.
She is, her and her daughter, in a weird way, it is the fact of, like, she is, like, almost the point of view character because she is being introduced to the world of the Penthouse. By the 3rd season, she's not in that much of the show because her character, spoilers, but also not spoilers because it's been years since that show aired last year, and I've only talked shit about it.
She died
since it came out. She died.
Oh wow!
And she dies in like the 5th. Like she dies pretty early in that season.
Wow, that's dramatic.
But that show is shit. The 3rd season of that show was absolute garbage.
All right, so I guess it was a good thing she died off then.
Oh no, what? Her death is one of the stupidest things. Like, her death is one of the stupid decisions made. And also, every decision she made before her death is also one of the stupidest decisions made. So much of that, all of that 3rd season
sounds like shitty writing.
All of that 3rd season is shit. Everything about that 3rd season is shit. The first 2 seasons are wonderful. They're fun. They're dramatic. They're great. The 3rd season, garbage. Garbage. Don't waste your time.
So I guess watch her in the first 2 seasons then.
It won worst drama of our awards last year, Maria. It was garbage.
So just watch her in the first 2 seasons then.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons actually tell a very complete story. You have like 1 or 2 loose ends.
So let's just pretend she doesn't die then.
And like don't just no, by the end of the 2nd season she's in prison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, look at that.
Well, it's because she threw a girl out a window.
Oh, okay. Lovely.
She threw a teenager out a window, sorry. And
Jesus.
then dropped like 100 stories into a statue. That show is wild.
Oh,
I loved it. It was great. I recommend the first 2 seasons only.
Jesus.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Anyway, she actually married.
Good for her.
Ki Tae-yeon, who was her leading man in the 2009 drama she was on called Creating Destiny. So that's kind of cute. And she has had her daughters Rohi in 2015, who was the one I think it's so far their only child that appeared on TV, and then Rorin in 2018. And her family was on Return of Superman in 2016. And actually, because of an interesting little controversy that came up that she cleared right away, she stated that she was a member of the Korean Christian Baptist Church, not to be associated with the Evangelical Baptist Church of Korea, which has had ties to the Sewol disaster. So apparently people were speculating, because this ties into a lot of political stuff. It's the Sewol conspiracy stuff that we don't have time for, which is a whole other topic in of its own. That's its own video.
And also the fact that she's also just not a part of that church. She's fine. She's fine.
Yeah,
she's
but that Evangelical Baptist Church, many people consider it to be a cult, to put it that way.
It is.
It sounds like it is, based on what I heard. And I guess
it
it was a key guy who was involved with the
from everything I know about that church, it is a cult.
Yeah. So she clarified she's not part of that church, not tied to Sewol in that way.
Yeah. She's just part
of
a
sucks
different...
She had to throw
she's
her
just
hat
part of a
that,
different Baptist church.
Because, a little bit of clarifying.
A little bit of clarifying. Nothing too bad.
All right. And then Bada, the oldest member, she went on to release the most music solo of the 3. She released like 4 albums. She starred in a lot of musicals and has made a few variety show appearances. She was actually a vocal coach on the competition show Idol School. And she also recently worked on a remix of Dreams Come True for the writing portion of it in SM. So she's kind of dipping her toe back into SM's good graces, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And then in her personal life, she married a franchise restaurant owner 9 years her junior in 2017, and she had a daughter in 2020. I mean, congrats to her for having a daughter in her 40s. I don't know how she did it, but good for you, girl.
Yeah. Right for her. I get all these women very successful, living their best lives.
And they all have daughters.
And except they all only have daughters.
Plus Shu's son. But all of them have daughters, which is funny.
Okay.
I love it. I kind of love it.
It's SES 2.0.
It's like you planned. But anyways, yeah, she seems to be doing well. I have no idea who the franchise restaurant owner is. It seems like his... thing's a secret.
That's his privacy, and I think that that's the one thing I will give Korean laws is like the fact that we just don't know some of these people's spouses or parents or any of that nonsense. Good, keep the privacy laws. I don't think we should. If they don't want to be known to the public, they don't need to be.
Yeah, I think they only make it public if it's already a famous celebrity person.
If it's already a famous celebrity, or if it's someone that's gonna like appear on Return of Superman, or if it's somebody that's gonna be involved in their career.
Yeah.
It's never really something that's just like leaked to the public.
Yeah.
The thing that always surprises me is like
if he's a franchise holder though, she's good on money. She's good for money. She can do whatever the fuck she wants.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on how that franchise is doing.
Well, it could be good.
I mean, I'm saying it could be great.
She's a franchise restaurant owner.
Yeah, it could be great. All right, so let's go to the songs.
All right, the songs. Starting off with their first debut song, which ironically also became their big hit, because I'm Your Girl.
That song is one of the most 90s.
It is so 90s.
I've ever seen. It gives all the 90s.
It is literally so 90s. It's kind of like wholesome. They do I like watching the performances where they do the little jumping jacks dance, shimmy. I'm like, okay, I see you. You work out. And the fashion. The hair.
Fashion.
Bada, they gave her some nice strands of hair in front of her face and then that like poof tie in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it this. I'm gonna put it out here. You were saying anything about, like, their hair compared to the HOT hair
better.
Is perfectly normal.
Much better.
Wise.
Like, if anything, Bada's the one that's more a little bit experimental.
But at
like,
the end of the day, I think if you, like, take the poof out and brush it out a little bit,
it's like normal hair.
It just like she can go home at the end of the day and be fine. There are members of HOT that could not go home and just live a normal life.
Also, their fashion is pretty appropriate, actually.
The fashion is perfectly
like I'm watching this music video and it's actually like okay, they're mostly covered. They're wearing matching outfits.
It also just kind of it's also just boring because it's kind of boring.
And they're like wearing some clothes that I think I definitely wore in like the early 2000s. Like some of the clothing.
It's fine. It's baggy. Like the clothes are fine. They function as clothes. They're nothing to write home about. I wouldn't call this the like fashion icon music video.
It's probably one of the first in a box music videos. I will give them that.
They're very in a box.
They are literally dancing in a box.
In a box. it's like it genuinely looks like a box because you actually see the ceiling sometimes. So they're like you can't even make the illusion. They're literally in a box.
Or like in between two random walls, they're like serenading the camera. I'm like, okay, we got where do we find these random
three of them? Maybe because it's three of them. The box looks so small.
It does.
I think it's just because there's three of them, so they didn't want to give them like a massive box. But dear God, the box looks so tiny.
It's like, okay, can you tell who the face of the group is from this music video?
I wonder. Is it the one that actually looks like a normal person?
Yes, you're correct. It is Eugene. Really long... Congratulations.
Yeah, Eugene with like long, luxurious
I mean, the only other thing they did was give her like a beanie hat in this music video. Otherwise, she looks absolutely normal.
I mean, you have the poof, and then you have whatever weird pigtails they gave. What's her name?
Shu.
Shu.
I mean, song-wise, they have the random rap break. I'm just like,
none of them.
Why does someone sound like a gargoyle?
There's no gargoyles.
It's interesting.
It's a choice. Do I think that it is like a standout career-defining song? I think it's career-defining because of what it did.
It's career-defining because it was popular. I don't think there was too much about it that was
do I love it as a song? I find it a little bit just like a 90s girl pop song.
It's a nice pop song. The public liked it. Clearly, they got a bunch of fans. It's like, all right.
It's fine.
Just cute girls dancing in a box, you know? That's the vibe.
Yep.
You know, wholesome. They went simple.
Yes.
And then further...
And now we go.
And then we go to Dreams Come True, which is a cover of the Swedish pop song.
It's not an aespa song for anybody asking because
it's not an aespa song. This was originally aespa song is a copy of a copy.
It's a copy. It's a cover of a cover.
It's a cover of a cover.
Even though the aespa version of this song is in and of itself very different than the SES version of the song.
Yeah.
Again, I like the SES version more.
Oh yeah, I like the SES version more, but I don't know why. I stupidly love this song. And I know I shouldn't, but I really stupidly love this song.
I like this less than I like 'Cause I'm Your Girl.
Really?
I think it's fine.
I don't know why I stupidly love this song. There's something about I don't know, it's just something about it that's just so camp. There's really something about it that's just really camp.
How do you defend the ending?
Oh, you mean the chipmunk rap?
Yeah.
I don't think I can defend the chipmunk rap, but I just I don't know. I just wanted to
acknowledge the fever dream that is the chipmunk rap. Like,
can we talk about this music video though?
Everything
they clearly were like, we're gonna play with 3D while the boys are filming their movie.
Yeah,
Girls,
they took some of the assets off of that 3D movie. They were like, this movie doesn't need all of this special effects.
So we're gonna have the girlies do some dancing in long white dresses, and then we're alien planet, 3D humans being born. Some of you have 3D wings that are clear and sparkly. Like, the visuals, there's like some alien planet, and then we got these chicks on billboards or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Like, I'm watching these visuals again, and I'm just like, this looks like the level to like a final level of a video game. You gotta defeat the evil baddie. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, this looks like a 90s video game. But this ain't no Final Fantasy VII.
No.
It's something else.
It's still better than the aespa song. The aespa version, because I think the aespa version just is boring. It's even more boring to me, because
which is interesting.
The instrumental is more lively on the aespa version, but I do find that they sound more bored. And so I'm less invested.
I've also determined watching this music video, they make Shu the Moonhee Jin of this group in terms of hairstyling.
Everyone has one. But also, again, I will take her hair over Moonhee Jin's any day. It is less mean what they do to her hair.
True.
Like, her hair just looks like if you took it out of the hairstyle it was in, it would be fine. Like, it still looks like it's a normal length and not cut ridiculously. Moonhee Jin will have his hair 5 inches shorter in the back than the front. And it's cut like that. And I'm like, sir, how do you live your life?
It's also interesting, too, the fact that there's, like, 3 of them. Like, I thought about that watching this thing. I'm just like, the dancing must be interesting when it's just only 3 of them.
I mean, it does limit the dancing immensely because they are just sort of dancing in a line. Like, there isn't really that many
also, for this rap, they have a 3D alien rapping along.
Yeah, the 3D alien. That's, again, why I asked the question.
Why do they have an alien,
like, you love this song? Is that a holdover from the Swedish version?
You know, it could have been. We need to double check that.
That might be a holdover. Because they keep it in the aespa version, too. The alien's also there.
Like, we gotta have the alien rap, guys. It's not the cover of a song about the stupid alien rap. Also, apparently the galaxy is pixelated and filled with binary numbers. I don't know who else to comment this.
It's so whatever. So next is Twilight Zone.
Coming in the Twilight Zone. I actually like this one a lot.
I enjoy this one. This one actually has not been remastered.
Which is a goddamn shame, because, like, it should be. Also has 3D imagery for some reason.
We were getting to Y2K, Maria. I blamed that.
Probably.
I blame Y2K.
But this is like their edgy era.
This is their edgy era.
This is their slight edge era.
So far, it's of the ones, like, as we're going, I'm sort of giving my opinion of all these relative to each other. It's my favorite song of the first 3.
I do like Twilight Zone, though. I don't know. I stupidly love Dreams Come True, but Twilight Zone's honestly one of their better child
Twilight
tracks.
Zone is up there. I think that they're, like, I mean, as time goes on, a group always gets better and everything else. I think, it's just more interesting. It's lively. You got a lot
It's more
going
mature
on.
for them.
It's more
like,
mature.
It feels like it's of their age, though. It's, like, appropriate mature. It's like, yes, I am fresh out of high school and I feel like a badass. Let me experiment in my fashion, you know?
It's giving Y2K it's giving such late 90s in terms of the fashion, too. And, like, it's actually starting to, like, be interesting. They're not dressed identical. They're dressed in a vibe more so than the same outfit 3 times.
That is true. I don't know. I like the vibes of this song too. I like the instrumental. I like their singing.
Yeah,
they have great singing in this.
The thing I will take with them, and this is just a thing with girl groups a lot of times as well, as opposed to your boy groups, you can see that they are far more limited in terms of their musical catalog as opposed to your HOTs. And that is not their fault. That is the company's fault.
No, if anything, though, SES... Oh, you mean limited in terms of, like, what kind of songs they do? Because, like, I think they put out more songs than HOT.
No, not in terms of quantity. I'm talking in terms of...
Types of...
You look at HOT. You're getting your, what's it called? Your Descendants of Warriors. Then Candy. Then We Are the Future. Then Happiness. Then, like, these are very different songs being able to show very different sides of themselves. These girls are more limited, and that is not their fault. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. They are fine. Like, they knock all of this out of the park. But again, I do think SM is also just not using them to their full potential, because I think they can do something a little bit different.
No,
and
yeah.
I think especially now in K-pop, people are so used to seeing concept changes that I think this is just very much staying in its lane.
I mean, the fact that this was considered to be edgy of the time, too, for girls, is just like... It's just so laughable. But I honestly love it for them. They do great. It's a great song. Do great. I think it's overall a better song.
Yeah, no, it's better. I'm just saying in terms of... I can see them being limited. And I think that is... Like, overall, it's not, the songs are good, but I'm making an observation more than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a good observation, though, honestly.
Because I do think that, like, these are two groups that are around the same time. They're contemporaries of each other. They're both SM's SM's first group of each gender.
Yes.
And I think you can see the pattern of how SM is going to be treating the groups of each gender going forward.
Oh, yeah.
The boy groups do a lot more range of stuff, and the girl groups are slightly more limited into their niche.
'Tis true.
'Tis true.
True.
And I'm not saying that the group is at fault. I am just making an observation for what SM is doing. This is an SM problem, not a group problem.
No, I agree. The SM likes to keep the girls a little bit more in a box or in a concept more than the dudes, I think.
And I think maybe that is because of their general public popularity. Maybe it's because you don't want to upset the general public with a different type of song.
Or you don't want to risk risk all the bread and the biscuit for, Yeah.
As opposed to the boys, which have, like, a more stable fan base for the group, where that fan base is going to be more open to the group doing something different. Whereas the general public is just sort of... The general public doesn't care about the group, they care about the music. And
speaking of, the song that might have broken the biscuit a little bit, but ultimately was a favorite with the general public, Love, also came from the same album as Twilight Zone. I really like both of these promoted songs, so I was just like, we gotta talk about them both.
Yeah.
Love is like a mature version of I'm Your Girl. And I think that's...
It is.
Yeah, and I think that's great for them.
They were allowed outside.
They were on the rooftop of buildings, I guess, for whatever reason. I don't know if that's safe, but
I mean, we do performances on helicopter pads.
Yes, we do. We stare at the sky with our arms stretched on rooftops. We're in a limousine, maybe, just moving around, strutting back and forth. We're sitting on a chair on a rooftop, I guess.
Yeah,
doing a lot of shit outside.
It is. They're sitting on a chair.
They're dancing in, like, clothing that I think a bunch of kids in the early 2000s in college would wear.
Probably.
They're just your everyday average girl. And I think that's a good point, too, the market. They do market them as kind of like your everyday average girl from the get-go.
And that is, I think, partially where you get that general public.
Yeah.
It's giving, like, sweet... So it very much reminds me of the late 90s, like, pop princess wars of the US.
True.
Take away Britney, because Britney was obviously the queen, and Britney was, like, beyond this. It's giving your Christina, Jessica Simpson, Mandy Moore, that era of,
I don't know. Would I compare Christina, though, in the same category as Jessica Simpson and Mandy Moore?
That early era? She was a better vocalist, but in terms of how she was marketing herself, yeah. In that early era, not in the later era.
Yeah,
in
true.
The early era. Where all of them had fucking, like, were, like, virginal sweet girls singing about, like, I love, maybe we'll kiss. It's giving
Maybe we'll kiss, but maybe we'll bang.
No, maybe we'll kiss, but we definitely won't
Release
bang.
the beast in me.
No, we definitely won't bang, but we definitely are banging on the side. But
we won't bang, but we won't tell you to your face we're banging. We keep it secret.
But it's giving that, like, era, and this is the same era, so I can see the fact that this is all, like, such similar music. Not so...
But to say, Friends was released a few years after this. I'm like, it's giving Friends a little bit. Maybe because, are they in New York City? I have no fucking idea where they are, but I don't think it's Seoul.
It's definitely not Seoul.
They're somewhere.
They're somewhere, but the thing is, I feel like I'm running out of things to say about the music, because you know how I said they got pigeonholed into,
I mean, I will say, I feel like this has also kind of become a fan song too.
It has.
But like, I think it's one of the better fan song options.
Yeah.
If we had to choose.
I'm just saying, generally speaking, I think we're running out of like different things to talk about in terms of like themes and everything, because the songs are getting a little more.
I mean, of 90s songs, I think they're pretty good for the 90s.
They're good 90s songs, yes. But they are pigeonholing them.
Although I don't think they start to pigeonhole them after this point, though. Let's talk about Be Natural.
Be Natural, which is not a Red Velvet song for anybody asking.
It's not a Red Velvet song. It's a fucking SES song. Get that out of your head. Red Velvet did a cover.
I will say one thing.
I'm just telling you that because so many people are like, it's a Red Velvet. No, it's not a Red Velvet song. It's a cover.
I'm going to say one thing. The Red Velvet, I will give the benefit to the aespa remixer. The aespa remixer put in a little bit of work. The instrumentation's different. Everything is updated. The Red Velvet cover is a cover. It's a straight cover.
It's literally changed up because there isn't anything to change. The song is great. The OG song is fucking fantastic.
I'm just saying, Dreams Come True is also there is a straight cover here. I'm just saying that like no one tried anything new. No one did anything to
Which
the
I
song.
mean that they should have tried something
cover.
with Red Velvet, you know.
I'm saying the SES, like, it's identical, and I also think they kind of make... I don't know if it's maybe just because Red Velvet were, like, brand new at the time, but...
because based on the conspiracy theory we have, that they rushed their debut. So probably like, quick! We gotta throw something out! Wait, what can we do? Wait, our cover! We gotta show them the Velvet side, quick!
This is very specific. I think they made Red Velvet sing like SES because there are parts of this where I'm like, this sounds identical.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way they're singing. And I don't know if it's just maybe that...
Well, they actually did... I just thought about it. They did have Taeyeon from NCT as a feature, I think. That's the only other thing they did different.
I'm talking in terms of just the song bit.
Yeah. Like the production.
No, there's a guy in this. He just wrote a rap instead of what the rap that this is, I think. I don't know if the raps are identical, but there's a man in this.
Okay, yeah, good point.
There's a man in SES's Be Natural. I don't know who it is.
I just assume it's either Andy or Eric, but they just don't credit
Probably.
them.
You don't see him in the video, so I don't know who it is. But, like, yeah. I don't know if I can't remember if Taeyeon wrote a rap, if it sounds anything like this. I wouldn't be surprised if they made him rush something out so it wasn't exactly identical. But in terms of, like, the vocals even sound the same. And I don't know if it's just because maybe they rushed this and they were just like, I don't know. And the girls were just like, I don't know, we'll just sound like SES, it's fine. Or if they were just, the voices are similar, but they sound identical.
They do. I do love this, though, for SES, because this was like, hey, you guys are adults now. We'll give you what you want. Sex appeal, but classy sex appeal. So we're going to do this kind of like as a pop. It definitely gives a little bit of jazz, but there isn't, like, actual jazz in it too much. But it's like, classy.
Jazz influence.
It's bougie.
Yeah, it is classy.
There's classy, there's bouginess. I love this. Like, it's not, like, I love it as, like, hey, you can do classy and mature, and you don't have to, you know, flash your titties or show your ass. And I love that there was, like, great. I mean, Korea was going to keep it PG, but, like, I love it.
This was the late 90s.
I know, but I miss this sometimes. I sometimes miss this in music, you know?
I think anybody can do whatever they want. This is fine.
People can do whatever they want, but I do miss
whatever
this
they want.
I do miss this.
I don't know. I think we find. I think they do. Some groups do this. I think it depends. We haven't gotten sexy concepts in years. What are you talking about?
True.
Like there's been like I don't know where you're getting that we got a lot of ass in K-pop recently.
Oh, not ass in K-pop. I'm talking about other music.
Right.
Like I wish something classy like this would come back to the States in a way.
Yeah.
Because like I just love this kind of like. Because it's like,
fair.
I don't want to say it's smart, sexy, but it's like, it's very smart with how you present it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I like it a lot. I miss it. They definitely had this kind of like, not SES, but there were other girl like singers and stuff that definitely did like similar vibes at points. And like, I like that kind of style.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think that this is probably my favorite SES song. Period.
I mean, yeah, it's great.
Period.
It was great. It's just like, oh yes, I love it. Push the boundaries.
It's the only time I really feel like they've gone like out of their comfort zone.
True.
Not comfort zone, but like SM was like pushing it. They didn't really push it too far, but like it's a different direction.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Just a Feeling, which I think is I enjoy. It's a little bit more them going back to your love, it's just a little bit more funky.
It's like it's like they're having it's not like sensual, but they're having fun, but they're also older. So it's like, okay, we're having a party, we're vibing.
Again, they're going back to that Girl Next Door prototype.
And they're dancing in a box, but with other dancers this time.
But
well,
now
it's more
they're
like a circle, but
yeah, but now it's a little bit more lively. It's a Girl Next Door, but having like a fun party.
Oh yeah, it's like pretty lit.
I like it. It's fine.
I think the vibe they promote is like a remix version. I think it's a remix or something like that, but that's Gucci.
Yeah.
That stuff's a party. That's a feeling. I'm like glad. I love it. It's classy. Not too much to say on it.
No, I have.
But like, it's good. It's good song.
Yeah.
Soul to Soul. This one I never promoted. But, like, honestly, this might be my favorite SES song for a stupid reason.
For a stupid reason?
It just reminds me so much of, like, that R&B kind of, like, early 2000s vibe. And I'm just like, oh, mama. I love it. It's, like, so good. I'm like, oh my god. This is, like, ultimate SES tier form. Soul to Soul. Or...
I can see why you really like this.
I vibe with this so much.
Your vibes.
I'm like... Yes! I'm sad they never promoted this, but, like, it's honestly, people, you need to listen to this. You need to. You need to. You need to listen to this song. It's available online. It's there. It's just so fucking good. They went out with a bang, I will say. Sad they only kept it to, like, a special
It's unfortunate
release,
that they didn't promote it if we're going out with a bang.
They should have promoted it, but the music video is great. Oh my god. Yeah. It's like, yes, this is like the ultimate form of SES. And they should have promoted it, damn it, but whatever.
And now we've come back, 10 to 15 years later. And we're here with Paradise.
I mean, it's New Jack Swing. I love that shit.
Love New Jack
I
Swing.
love New Jack Swing. If you don't like New Jack Swing inspired shit, you're probably gonna hate it, but...
Was that the only original song on that album?
No, I think they had other original songs.
Did they? Okay. Because I know that a lot of that album was them just... It was a special album. It was a celebration album, obviously, and, like, they truly do deserve that.
I know they released the Love thing. That was kind of like a mashup of, like, two of their songs. They tacked on a little bit of, like, I'm Your Girl at the end of that for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why, but, let's see. Yeah, I think most of this is original.
Most of this is original? Okay.
Yeah, I say, like, Love Story is, like, a weird mash remix of Love and, like, oh, I'm Your Girl at the end.
Weird.
Which is kind of funny because, like, Love is kind of like the second evolution of I'm Your Girl, so.
I'm Your Girl.
Mm-hmm.
This is fine.
Yeah,
Again, I mean, this is very much just... They're not doing anything exceptional, but they're here just to celebrate the group as a whole. Like,
yeah, it's fun. Yeah. You know, two of them had kids at this point. They're just like, we're gonna dance and have some fun, damn it. And have a good music video. I'm kind of confused, though, by, like, the setup of, like, the room. Because it looks like it's like a tiled, like... It's like one of those horror medical rooms, but they cleaned it up and put in some plants and have a skyline, so it's not horror, but it looks like those rooms.
It's whatever. You know? Again, I think SM was gonna be like, we got SES for an afternoon, and that's what we got.
I think they filmed the music video for Remember as well, but that's another song. I think Paradise is the better promoted single there from that.
Yeah, maybe they'll do something for their what's it called? I mean, not 25th, because 25th would have been this year anyway. Maybe 30. Maybe in 5 years.
Maybe, but she needs to work on cleaning up her image first before they can do that.
Maybe that's how she does it. She does a grand comeback.
Well, she's trying to get on the good side with the ambassador, for gambling things, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you love New Jack Swing, you're probably gonna like this song a lot, which is me, so this is me. Sammy, I don't think likes New Jack Swing, so she's probably.
I don't hate New Jack Swing. I just think this is fine.
Yeah.
Like I don't have strong opinions on New Jack Swing. It's fine.
It's like, love it. Working moms, let's go.
Working mothers. We support working mothers.
We support working moms. Oh jeez. But yeah. So yeah. I guess yeah, and then final thoughts, I guess, on this on their music.
Again, I think I went on a mini rant about my thoughts on their music, which is I really like it. It's very good. But I do find them a bit pigeonholed, but that's my problems with SM as a company more than anything else.
Yeah.
The only people I think they have actually been able to give music to that is not pigeonholed them is because they baked into the concept of Red Velvet.
Yeah. Like they purposely, it's like almost they purposely
concepts.
challenge themselves to like.
And then even now, I think they're starting to like move away from that. So we're stopped getting variety in that, which is annoying. But like, I think it's maybe my problems with
they haven't forced Red Velvet yet to go to do the NCT aespa remix.
I don't know if they can't rap. You think those other two groups are bad rappers?
I'm happy they haven't. I'm happy they haven't because they're still.
That would have been a bad idea.
Music. So,
but like, just generally speaking, I think that like they're very good. I think they're. I mean, look, I'm not the biggest fan of SM girl groups.
Yeah,
they're fine to me. Usually, they're probably up there for me. They probably are one of my favorites in terms of how I would rank them. I like them. I think they're very good. I think that they were very influential on the time, and I think that they set up how SM would poorly manage girl groups in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy SES's music. At least their title tracks. I can't really say too much about their albums, but like their title tracks.
I can't say
not too
say
many
much
misses
about the album.
Not too many misses.
I can't say anything about the B-sides of either of these groups.
No, not really, because I haven't really delved in and listened to them like I did with So Taeji and the Boys. And again, like I like some B-sides from HOT, I'd say more that I didn't cover, but it's like I'm not gonna cover all their B-sides I like.
And again, like we said with HOT, most of these songs that we talked about have had covers. Mm-hmm. A lot of covers. Mm-hmm. So many covers by girl groups.
So many covers.
More so by
I mean, literally, SES. They're like the token girl group SM likes to go back to be like, let's do more covers, except single releases.
And also just token girl group that like girl groups at like music shows, music festivals will cover. Like there were covers of Dream Come True. There's covers of I'm Your Girl.
I do find it interesting.
Covers of other things.
Oh, should we rank these songs too? By the way,
here's the thing. They're so similar in concept and everything else. They're kind of equal for me. I would say Be Natural is my favorite.
I'm a sucker for Soul to Soul. I really like Twilight Zone and Dreams Come True and Paradise. I like a lot.
So all of them.
All of them.
So all of them. So you have the same thing of that these songs are all that good, but also kind of similar, that they're all on equal footing.
Well, I will say this, though. Of like the 90s girl groups, I feel like I like SES the best.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
I think arguably they have like the better music. And like HOT too, kind of, but I think they're. Yeah.
They are definitely the best of the 90s girl groups. Absolutely. Yeah. I would say HOT is not the best of the 90s boy groups.
No, they have some of their songs are the best, but they have more competition for better.
They had more competition, and personally, I think for as many songs as I like, maybe it's just because they have had way more songs, but personally, in terms of first-gen boy groups, I think I like the most number of Shinhwa songs.
We'll have to get to Shinhwa at some point. Jesus. But anyway, so that was it. The long-awaited continuation, if anyone actually waited for this, about another mixtape. And actually slightly better than I expected from how you would think about some of the songs, Sammy. I'm kind of impressed.
No, I like the 90s songs. I think my thing with the 90s songs, I just don't go back to listen to them that often.
That's fair.
But I also don't listen to current K-pop that often. I don't listen to music that often.
It's interesting listening to these two groups, too, especially considering the fact that SES is like one of the few 3-membered groups out there, if not maybe the only one. So that's like an anomaly that we never gone back to, really.
In terms of 3-member groups that started as 3-member groups?
Yeah. It doesn't exist, really. And then it's like, I don't know, it's funny to see the origins of like how these two groups, and other groups too as well, but like, these two were the first that like influence a whole freaking genre pop music.
And also, they lay the foundation for what other K-pop groups would go on to do. You can see it beginning here. And
it's like crazy to see it, honestly.
It's wild. Because like you go back and like we've talked about Sotaeji and we've seen that, and that is, you see an influence, but it's so beyond and so different than what K-pop is now. You can't really see the trajectory, but seeing like this is almost that middle bit where I see the influence of Sotaeji in this, and I see current K-pop in this. I see both. So it's like, it's not so much we just ended up here. It is always an evolution, and I think that having that full context is good. We have a lot of context. Somehow we're slowly becoming, I think, some form of K-pop historian. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it, though.
I kind of like it, but I feel like that's a lot of weight on our shoulders to be a K-pop historian.
Well, I don't necessarily I just like learning about history, though.
It is, and it's fun.
It's fun because we're also,
time.
I mean, essentially following K-pop is like watching history happen in real time. So.
It is like creating history in real time.
You're watching soft power. Like soft power media from an Asian country going through over time. We're watching
the evolution of, like, considering, like, we got into K-pop, like, right as it was becoming
I was the first one of us three that did, I think. It was the end of 2013 for me.
Yeah, you were there
when BTS only released, like, 2 EPs.
Yeah.
Like, a single album and an EP at the time.
Like, I was casually in it from, like, around, like, 2012, but, like, I really only got into it in 2015. And, like, you're seeing it grow. Like, you're essentially watching the rise of not just a soft power, but just the overall Asian market generally become an actual presence, especially in the US and also in the West generally, and also being media that is consumed. And you can take a direct line from the beginnings of K-pop to, and like a lot of people will say this, but to the reason Squid Game became so popular. Like, you see it, and it is all interconnected in this world. And to go back farther and be able to educate yourself on, like, the beginnings of K-pop, which, again, like, you can try to go back further than that, but, like, the beginning of K-pop with Sotaeji, because of how censorship worked, has a very clear beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Before that, it's mainly going back to the history of Western pop music, not so much Korean pop music.
Yeah, true.
So, like, it is also really rare to see a phenomenon and something with such a clear beginning.
It's fun. I love it. I love doing this stuff. I like learning about history. So, like, this is, like, right up my alley. I wish I could have done more episodes sooner, but, like, life's been busy.
Life's a lot.
You know about what's been going on in my life,
Yeah, we have
Sammy.
we got a lot of things going on. We don't do a lot of with this podcast. This podcast has too much going on, too.
Yeah. We're very ambitious.
We have to try to do current K-pop at the same time that we're doing old K-pop, at the time that we're trying to, like, do K-pop scandals. Like, we are slowly becoming the K-pop history channel. You want to know something that happened? They've probably talked about it at some point.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like putting a new perspective on certain things and whatnot, and having more fun with it. But yeah.
All
right. Anyways,
so that's been the episode.
That's been the episode. We are available. How does Kayla do it? She's better at this.
We're available on all podcasting platforms. We're on YouTube if you want to watch us there with, like, a pseudo video element. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that fun stuff. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.